The views expressed by guests on this podcast are their own, and their appearances on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Thank you. Welcome to Meadowbrook Memories Podcast. I am Jelly, otherwise known as Glister Prince. My co-host is Hitchcock, otherwise known as Alfred Henry. Our mission on this podcast series is to explore the stories behind the magic that was created at Meadowbrook when over a span of 4 years between 1982 and 1986, we saw the transformation of a small co-educational school with less than 1,200 students, 800 girls and 400 boys, into a successful sports and scholastic champions, winning 7 major trophies, 3 Sunlight Cup, 2 Topping Cup, 1 Walker Cup, and 1 Nutriment Shield. And to crown these achievements, Meadowbrook also produced 2 Rhodes Scholars, Cavell Creighton in 1987 and Andrea Wright in 1989, both graduates of Meadowbrook in 1983. In this podcast series, we'll be speaking to persons, both male and female, who are actively involved in this incredible journey, along with friends and staff at Meadowbrook, which inspired the environment which created this golden era. We hope you enjoy our discussion. Please give us as much support and encouragement that you can on whatever social media platform you are listening. Welcome and thanks for joining us. Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2023, and welcome back to another conversation about Meadowbrook Memories. Me as usual, Jelly, our Glister, our Lance, our Prince, and anyone that those names will do. Join me as co-host today is the best night watchman in the business, Dante R. Tegreg, and his birth certificate has his name as Donovan Thomas. You should go back and listen to Dante Meadowbrook Memories in his own words by going back to episode number 5, and the link will be in the description page. Also join us as co-host is a former student and teacher at Meadowbrook, Gerald Belnavis, and me just know him as G. And you should go back and listen to episode number 6 to hear Jarrett memories in his own words, and like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button while listening to both these conversations. Our guest today, we have to give a proper introduction as Dante that said from the day. He started in Meadowbrook sometime in the 1960s, the map will tell me when we start, as a transplant from one of those North Street school. And in a letter he sent to our former principal, Mr. Bogle, Donald Bogle, in 2011, he thanked Mr. Bogle for creating an environment at Meadowbrook that changed his life. He resided on Ilea Drive in Meadowbrook, and he and I have the same love for that pivotal book written by C.L.R. James, Beyond the Boundary, which had a profound impact on my love for cricket and the importance of sports in the development of political independence in Caribbean nation in the 1960s. So we have that same thing in common, Mikey.
Yes.
However, without further ado, the man whose name I heard in my household from my idea Mini, from my older sister, Claudette, who attended Meadowbrook while he was there, he's here to tell his own Meadowbrook memories. So, Meadowbrook members, welcome Michael Jarrett to the conversation. Introduce yourself, Mikey.
Michael Stanley Livingston Jarrett. That is the full name. That's a full 100.
Full 100,
Michael
yeah, man.
Livingston Jarrett. So, yes. So, I went to Meadowbrook. I went to live in Meadowbrook in December 1961. That's the 11th of December 1961. We moved to Meadowbrook. Before that, we lived at Leith Road off Chisholm Avenue in Whitfield Town, right? So we moved to Meadowbrook, and then I was already, I was finishing my first year at St. George's College, right, in 1961. So we lived in Meadowbrook High School at that time. I hear Mr. Bogle struggle, and many people struggle with how many students were there. What I can tell you is that from 14 Hialeah Drive, where I lived, you couldn't hear a noise at the school, right? By the time I went to Meadowbrook, you could hear the noise of students at the school. So the school population grew significantly between 1961 or 1962 to 1963, 1964 when I went there. So,
hold on, Mikey. Before we're going further, I don't want to start going at so. Make Jerry introduce himself first, and then we're going at it officially. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. Introduce yourself.
Gerald Belnavis, everybody know me as G. Meadowbrook High School alumna. Meadowbrook community resident. Lover of Meadowbrook, like all of us here. I went to Meadowbrook in 1968.
Yeah.
Not much more to say. Younger brother went there as well, but my sister didn't go there.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. And before you go in, Mikey, because I know you have a whole heap to say. I want to hear everything what you say. But I have to ask my first question. Me ask.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
did you choose Meadowbrook or Meadowbrook chose you?
I chose Meadowbrook.
Yeah, tell me about that.
We chose- I was doing badly at St. George's College. Doing badly. When I say that, I meant after passing common entrance and I went to St. George's College, I was in a male-dominated environment. Boys' school being taught by male teachers. I was a young, impressionable youth at that time, right? You can imagine, I was 12, 13. And when I get to St. George's College, that environment had me doing everything but schoolwork. Anything but schoolwork. I was playing football, doing everything but schoolwork. I was doing no schoolwork at all. My first year at St. George's College.
And what year was that, Mikey? What year was that in Georgia?
I went to Georgia in 61.
61, okay, nice, yeah.
Yeah? So by 1962, I'm repeating. I'm in second form, but I'm repeating. I was repeating second form in 63.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, now my parents said, no, this is not working. So that's when my father approached Mr. Bogle and say, he want to take me out of St. George's College and put me in Meadowbrook. I was quite upset at that. Because, first of all, Meadowbrook was a small school that nobody heard about at the time. And I was going to the big St. George's College. So it was, to me, a downturn or a retrograde step.
A downgrade.
Yeah. So I wasn't happy about that at all, right? But my father was adamant because he said, you're a bright youth and you're doing badly at that school. It don't make sense to stay there doing badly. So I went to Meadowbrook. Well, I'm here to tell you, my friends, that my life changed the first day I went into Meadowbrook. Because that, not even first term, it was second term. Meaning, first term gone, I go there after Easter.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really, in my mind now, that's when I started school, when I got to Meadowbrook. I was repeating second form at St. George's College. When I got to Meadowbrook, Mr. Bogle put me in third form.
Wow.
And when I walk in there and sit down, I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, that the presence of female, women, girls in the classroom made a big difference to me as a youth.
And you
and it's not,
Mikey, yeah.
But it might not be for what you think. It was because I'd never been in circumstances where I had girls around me.
Mm-hmm.
Before I went to Morrison Prep, which is where I took common entrance. Before that, I started school in St. Aloysius. It's a Catholic school on Duke Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I know where that there, yeah.
And I was doing very well there. In fact, it was the teacher, my teacher, Miss McDonald, who said to my mother, listen, this boy is a bright boy, you really don't want to leave him here if you want common entrance. Put him into a prep school. So my parents were spending good money. I'm not rich people. Good money to send me to prep school, and I did well there. I was doing well when I was in school with girls, and I got to St. George's, and I started. First of all, the boys spoke about girls in their absence, as not as human beings, but as things.
As a property.
Yeah. So by the time I got to Meadowbrook and got into third form, and I sit down there, and I sit down with girls. The person coming first was Lorna Kirby, coming first in the class. Peter Phillips coming second. When I saw what was happening there, once I felt normal being among girls and boys, I started to do well. In my end of my first term, I come third in the class. This is from coming second to last and third to last.
Amazing.
So my life changed immediately, and I credit that to the fact that I was in a wholesome environment. And that was made wholesome because, of course, because young boys at that age, testosterone is a poisonous thing. Socially. That's not a good environment for students to go. And I'm still committed to that. I think all students, all children should go to co-educational schools. They shouldn't separate boys and girls. I don't see no benefit in that at all. I learned to respect women, to love women without them seeing them as sexual objects in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was of women to this day.
Interesting perspective. Never thought about it that way before, but it makes a lot of sense because all other interactions that we learn are with both sexes being present. Throughout life, you have siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your parents. It really is a little bit unnatural to change to, one
unisex school.
Unisex school, yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So my life changed. So immediately, my life changed for the better. The trajectory of my life, I should say, changed for the better. The first day I got into Meadowbrook High School, the first day. That to me is significant, and I don't forget that. At St. George's, I would duck homework, meaning if you get 6 math sums to do, math problem to do for homework, I realize that if you just attempt 3, you don't get a distinction. So but it makes sense. It don't make sense to do 6 then if you can do 3 and get away with it. At Meadowbrook, I was doing more time doing work at home than the homework I got.
So hold on, Mikey. Where do you think caused that change? What is that significant? Where do you think caused that? It just come to you naturally that you need it for change, or what do you think caused the change? Now your mind.
I had a low self-esteem at St. George's because I was not doing well in school, and therefore that feed on my system, right? So I start now look for friends who were not doing well either. It's that kind of natural. And those boys were like spinning gig, playing after school, doing that kind of thing. When I got to Meadowbrook, I saw in the classroom situation, I saw girls doing well. You understand me? I saw girls doing well. I was interacting with them for the first time without seeing them as sexual objects, which is what boys 13, 14, 15 do. And that's all they talk about. So I was seeing a different human being, to be quite. People who were studious and all that, and I call some names, they were working, they were doing homework, turning in their assignments. It's like the first week, my friend. It was just a big difference to me. And it changed my life. So I started to do homework. I started to read more widely. I wasn't reading before. And just started to feel somehow that I was in a wholesome environment. Seriously. So even my language form changed. I wasn't using no curse words. I became a gentleman.
So let me ask you something, guy. We not talked about it earlier before we go back to the official question I asked everybody. How much student do you think was at Meadowbrook at the time you started in at 63 years you started?
Yeah, I heard that discussion. I don't know the exact number, but when I was thinking about it, I said, well, the average number of students in each classroom was about 30, 33. And you had A stream and B stream.
Yeah.
From first form to fifth form, then you have 10 forms. And 10 times 30, let's use the conservative number. It was more than 30 students, but 10 times 30 is already 200. Somehow through my life, 420 students stuck in my brain.
I mean, when you were there in 63?
Could be 64, but 420 is a number that I have in my mind. And when I work it back, I'm saying, okay, well, it can't be less than, if you take out sixth form, it can't be less than 300 students because that was about the average class size was about 30.
Okay.
So let me ask you something. So because Meadowbrook started in a 58, Well, by 63, all of them students that were started I reach fifth form. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. By 63, that's a 5 years. So at least each farm would have. And you say how much fifth?
Average 32, 33 students.
And how much farm was there in a fifth farm at the time? One or two?
Two first farm, two second farm, two third farm, A and B. Two streams, A and B stream.
Okay, I got you. Yes, it's easily over 300 then, Mikey.
Easy. And you don't put 6 farm with that.
Yeah. But you
So
were,
it was region, yeah?
yeah, you were saying this school developed because where you used to live, when you live a highly drive and you say you couldn't hear a nice when the school opened. So when the school opened, you never even crossed your mind you should just go to Meadowbrook school. That was not school you want to go to.
Excuse me? Nobody never even hear about Meadowbrook.
But at the time you moved. At the time you moved to Meadowbrook, you were already in Georges, right?
Yeah, I was finishing my first
So
year.
you never really had the option to walk then because you was already
never know about Meadowbrook at all. Then,
at all.
Yeah. Darrell, here it go. Before I got to Meadowbrook, right? I never heard about Meadowbrook High School.
Right.
And when I got to Meadowbrook, right? When you look over the school, you didn't see many students walking around. It was not a large population at school. But remember, common entrance started at around 1959, 59. So therefore, the students coming from that system, students who passed common entrance would just have started to come to Meadowbrook. Before that, the Meadowbrook school community looked totally different, meaning most of the students at Meadowbrook at that time came from the surrounding area.
Absolutely.
Up to school.
That's true.
It was after 63, 64 that students were coming off of the bus in larger numbers at Flemington Drive from school. But generally speaking, people were walking from Havendale. People were walking from different areas. People were coming down. Their parents would bring them down from up Red Hills. But that was the area, Meadowbrook and Havendale. And most students in the early stages walked to school. On Highland Drive, for example, about 12 students from Highland Drive alone, 12, 14 students. And we out here.
You remember them name, Mikey?
Pauline Green and June Clark lived at number 4 Highland Drive. So that's 2 already. Not that they weren't all there at the same time, right?
Understood, yeah.
Okay. So that's Pauline Green, my favorite. That was my girlfriend.
I was wondering why you know the address so well. But no, I understand, Mike.
Don't listen to John here. It's because there's staff who walk past our house, right? But we were them call us the Hialeah Posse. You remember that, Gerald? Hialeah Posse.
Yes, indeed. Good people.
Yeah. So it was Pauline and June Clark live at number 4. Then all of my siblings went to Meadowbrook. No, not all. My sister Margaret went to Immaculate, but Michael Jarrett, Ronald Jarrett, and Stephen Jarrett, all 3 of us went to Meadowbrook.
You opened that.
Yeah,
you opened that door, Mikey. You opened that door for your brothers.
Yeah. My father opened that door because he was
your father, yes.
Yeah, because your father choose Meadowbrook for you and say, I'll go Meadowbrook. Yeah.
I said my father rescued me from St. George's.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is and then now you had Grace Cowan. All 6 Cowan students, children went to Meadowbrook. Grace Cowan, Helen Cowan, Carleen Cowan, and then the 3 boys, Horace, Lenny, and Dougie Cowan.
Yeah, I know Dougie. I don't want me know, yeah.
And Marcia Cowan lived at the same space. So Marcia Cowan went to Meadowbrook too.
So she was related to those Cowan.
She was, yes.
No, well.
Wasn't she? Was Marcia?
Marcia said she was not related to them, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that is news to me. I always assume that. She learned something every day.
It's a logical assumption. Why? Because Cohen is not a very popular name.
Yeah. And
There
so
was
many
a
of them went to Meadowbrook.
yeah, Sledgy, Hernan.
Hernan,
Yeah,
yes,
man, yeah,
man.
man, yeah, man. He was a sunlight coach when I go to school, yeah.
Well, his older brother, maybe oldest, I don't know the family, but Henrik Hamilton, he lived on Hylia Drive. Now, Henrik and Errol and Errol Henry, and who you interviewed,
Yeah,
Jarrett,
man, yeah.
that was a generation before that
Oh,
generation.
So you go to school and Errol was at school already?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you, yeah.
I'm not sure if I was in Meadowbrook at the time or it's the same year, but Errol Henry was Rothney, I think, right?
Yeah,
And
man,
it was
Rodney. The big time was in Rodney. And what house were you in, Mikey?
Rothney.
Rodney as well, okay.
Errol, he never mentioned it, but it was a 100-meter sprinter. It was pretty quick.
Yeah, man, you
actually.
talk about it, man. And him eye
Yeah.
jumping and all that. He did talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, Henry was quick. So that was Hylia Drive, right? But then that was just my road alone. Yeah, people Flemington
my
Drive.
road, my road. If you talk
There you
about
go.
Springboard, me, my younger brother, the
Yeah.
Bygraves,
Yeah.
Patrick Terrellon, I think Travis Wilson Red Rat, they all lived on that road.
Oh, Red Rat live on Springburn. Jerry, I never know that, yeah?
I went to Meadowbrook, yeah.
Yeah, I never know, but I never know Springburn he used to live, yeah.
For a time, yes, he and his older brother. So
Yeah.
the pattern is true, Mike. The school was really, the population was drawn definitely from the community, especially in the earlier days.
Absolutely.
I, for one, was lazy. I had no desire to take a bus to go to Crossroads, to go to Woodman's or George, when I could walk 5 minutes. I chose Meadowbrook too, because I was not going to go.
You never contemplate none of the other school of Jerry.
No, but a lot of other people, as Michael know, a lot of people in the area also went to these schools, KC and Woodman's and George.
Yeah.
Many of them did. Parent pressure. The Hunts, for example. Wayne and David, and I mean, their father was KC man, so there's no doubt that they would all go to. Cheryl was the only one who went to Meadowbrook, and Cheryl was the girl. So
it's important to put this in a historical context, right? We're talking about here the 1950s saw the start of a middle income society in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
The Jamaican society was essentially working class and people with money at the upper class, right? You didn't have much of a middle class in Jamaica for many years. The middle class started to grow in the 50s when people who had gone to the war and come back, their children started to come into the adolescent stage. And many of those middle income families lived uptown. Many of them, their children were going to the established high schools. But you had another group of people who lived in that space, meaning uptown, who were expatriates with contracts in Jamaica, or who just had businesses and they lived uptown. But Meadowbrook, Havendale reflected the start or the emergence of a middle class in Jamaica.
Yeah.
The first middle class, and I'm using the word class deliberately here, middle income but middle class. The first community built for the middle class was Money Heights.
Yeah.
Before that is poor people and rich people, and just a sprinkling of middle income people, and most of those middle income people worked in the government.
Yeah.
Teachers, and you know what I mean. So at Meadowbrook, when you looked at just the complexion of students, you see students white students. You may not know Tura Gray, Turo Poor Gray. His father owned a pharmacy. But he was a white guy. We had many white
Oh,
students
no.
coming to Meadowbrook at the time. Many. They lived uptown. There are a lot of uptown students. And the students with my complexion who were there were the children of people who could afford to send them children to Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
That is really how it started. Once common entrance became popular, meaning it was now set and students were coming out, more and more students started to come to Meadowbrook, either because the Ministry of Education shunted them there or because they weren't doing so well in high schools elsewhere and they were sent to Meadowbrook. But there were no schools north of Calabar. Calabar was as far north as you could go as far as high schools in Jamaica was concerned.
Mhm.
So after a while, what you found is that there was two different income groups in the Meadowbrook school population represented by people who lived in the area who were fairly well off and people who were not uptown people, but who were bright, who got common entrance places, and therefore you had the Meadowbrook population, student population grew significantly with more and more students coming out of the common entrance situation. So that is the historical context in terms of the social structure of Kingston at the time. Meadowbrook population grew with the advent of the common entrance examination. And many students were placed there because Ministry of Education, everybody couldn't go to St. George's and everybody couldn't go to us. So people some people never liked it because they had to travel far to come to Meadowbrook. But the school population in Meadowbrook grew with the advent of common entrance exam.
So who are some of the contemporaries when you go Meadowbrook, Mike, you remember? Now, we're not the same class, we're in a third form of Meadowbrook in 62. What are some of the people you remember?
I mentioned Lana Kirby. She was the brightest girl in the class, right? We had people like James Salmon, James Vaz, Errol Miller, people like that. I mentioned Vaz and Miller because Sam Miller, Vaz and myself founded the Meadowbrook Cadet Unit. Mm-hmm. I remember those three guys that were in the same form. But the Satterthwaite, and the names will come up one at a time. I see the faces, they don't come immediately.
Yeah. What some of the teachers that you remember, Mikey?
My favorite teacher was Mrs. McCurdy.
Yes.
Later, she got married, Mrs. Wright, but she's McCurdy. Why? Because she's an English teacher. And, so I remember her very well. I like Mr. Bogle. Mr. Bogle taught me West Indian history. Now, I mentioned those two because those two were my favorite subjects. History, favorite subject, and English.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Miss McLennan, Monkey Chaser, bless her soul, was Spanish. Mrs. McLennan taught Spanish. And
Miss Peter Kim was there when you went there.
Yes. She taught us Latin. She was Bracknell house mistress. Mm-hmm. A lot to do with her throughout my time at Meadowbrook. She taught us Latin. And those are the teachers I remember.
Mr. Goodnar, Mr. Chin wasn't there. They came afterwards.
They came, shortly after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only know McLennan and Miss Peterkin from that group. Mr. Bogle, I knew, but I never. When I went to Meadowbrook, he had gone. But I knew him because he was my neighbor. He lived across the street from me, and he had two sons. Mm-hmm. He had two sons that were about my age, so we used to play together. So I knew him, he and his wife, but not as a headmaster. No.
But he also had two dogs.
Yes, dogs. Mm-hmm. I remember.
Yeah, a German Shepherd, yeah.
Who, Mr. Tap or Mr. Bogle?
Mr. Bogle.
It's a Bogle dog as well. I never even know that. That's
Mr. and Mrs. Bogle. Mr. and Mrs. Bogle. Yes, some German Shepherd.
Yeah, I never know that. So
Yeah.
you were at the school time when you go Meadowbrook then Mikey in a cricket pitch or none of that thing that upon no what was there? What was the campus like when you got in at 63?
Okay. But let me say 61, 62. The school, let's stay at Meadowbrook Avenue, right?
Yeah.
The property runs from Flemington Drive to Springburn.
Yeah.
Prep school took that first section from Flemington Drive to where the fence is, right?
Yeah.
And the high school property was from the fence to Springburn. Half of that space, I don't know if you remember this, Gerald, half of that space from Springburn to halfway up the field was bush.
Yes.
Mr. Bogle cleared that bush. A tractor actually came and leveled it, right? So you could actually stay at Springburn and look all the way up to the assembly. And in fact, when I cleared the bush, Bygrave and them used to just come over the fence and walk up the school.
Yes.
So but hold on, when you go to Meadowbrook then Mikey,
yeah.
I just the 3-story building was there that never even finished yet.
No, it was finished, but only just finished. Before that, before I got there, school started in the auditorium. It's not even auditorium, we call it the assembly hall. People call it auditorium.
And the assembly hall. And it was originally Ratney Hall, to pick up the Ratney Hall. That I know.
Yeah, well, that I never know. That it was Ratney Hall. But yeah. So you asked about cricket pitch. So Mr. Bogle established a cricket pitch on the upper part of the ground. As I said, you know that tree near to the fence.
Big tree. So
the cricket pitch was in that area, and then afterwards he put a concrete pitch near to the fence. Just a little bit not next to the cricket pitch, but just under the tree. Yeah, so that's where we played cricket. That's where.
And there was no football field then?
No. That's why Meadowbrook never had football. They when we really started playing football is when they got access to the grounds down at Bottom Field. And then so therefore we could start playing football on there. But you never had a full football field.
Okay, so what year was that we started actually playing football in Mikey?
This about 63, 64.
Okay, that time we have access to Bottom Field.
Yeah. And I think Bottom Field was leveled by Gerald. What that the houses when you go down to Bottom Field, when you come off Meadowbrook Avenue and you turn and go down to Bottom Field, in Meadowbrook Mews down there, isn't it? It's not Mews.
No, Michigan Avenue. The Bottom Field was on Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Michigan Avenue.
When those houses were built down there, they cleared the field. They cleared the field on the other side. The developers clearly had all of that property. So on one side of the road, they built all these houses running on two sides of the gully.
Right.
And on the other side, they flattened the land. And Meadowbrook approached them. I don't know who the developers were. And they allowed the school access. I think they needed to leave that space for the community.
Yeah.
So what they did was put an old Jolly Joseph bus, a shell, them take out the engine and all that. So the developers put a bus down there so that at least if rainfall, we'll have some shelter down there. Because before that, the field was just a flat field. If rainfall, you have to go all the way up to Meadowbrook. You get wet to go back to Meadowbrook. So they put an old Jarrett bus down there. And we were able to use that field. Sometimes we change in the bus. If rain starts falling, you go in the old bus and you stay there.
I remember that bus.
You remember it?
Jelly, you never knew about that bus, did you?
Actually, I go there and see a shell of a bus down in Nigeria. I try to remember that.
But same bus, the same bus.
Almost the same bus. Yeah. I see something look it down, man. I just talk about the bus, Mikey, I remember. So what we get when we used to go around the field, how do you get the name Bottom Field?
because the field that up at Meadowbrook was the top field.
Okay.
And not, and people have to give everything a name, right? So
Differentiate
the way
between
we refer to that field is that it's not our field up at the school, it's bottom field.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what was it like then for saying I leave, go bottom field, go train or go play or anything like that? Not the early days. It was just a transition. I mean, which other school? I mean, I know KC had two field after a while, or two campus.
Yeah.
How it felt for say, yeah, we move from the school. That was unusual. What was it like in them days?
No, it was not New York because people travel in groups. In fact, it was a nice little thing to walk. When you're walking down to bottom field, it's a talk. You walk in groups, right?
No, when we say unusual, Mikey, I mean for unusual. Most of the school have them field on the campus.
Yeah.
It's a special thing for Meadowbrook. No, I love this, but just want to know what was it like. Oh no, yeah.
First of all, we were happy to have a field because we couldn't do anything much on the field up there. Even when you're playing cricket there, it was common practice to hit the ball into the upper part of the assembly hall building. In other words, it was that close. You hit a six, it hit the building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
But when we had a field now, it was more space. We could do more running. We had a full football field at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have track. The track. We could do, sports on.
Yeah.
And people would go to the field in groups.
Yeah, of course. Like I would say, man. We used to do that, yeah.
Yeah, but our community used the field very much. I mean, like that field was our football field.
Right.
Yeah.
Meadowbrook.
Community. At one time, you couldn't differentiate between Medhaven football and Meadowbrook. When
it is that team. It is that field that created space for Medhaven. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And Robin.
Hunt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how Wagga them father.
Yeah.
No, that's Wagga. That is David.
Yeah.
Oh, Robin.
David.
Oh, another. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody used to call him Robin, because his parent, David is what you guys know him as. We know him as Robin. Because that's the thing, Mike. If you're that, even though we all went to different schools in Meadowbrook in the community, that feel and that Medhaven ideal, it kept it kept the community together because people were, we'd all play football together regardless of what school you went to.
It was the only facility for us to play as
a community.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Mikey. When you remember when was the first sports day at Meadowbrook? Are you good?
That was before my time because I saw Errol Henry run before my first sports day. So sports day was always here.
Okay, I got you. Before you even got Meadowbrook.
But sports was at the school premises.
Okay.
What house? I need to ask this, and this is a personal thing.
Yeah.
What house do you think won it more? Rodney, I suppose, and Saunders. I know Miss McLean used to try and find the athletes and put them in Saunders in first form. I know that.
No. It was
not Ward House, because I was in Ward House. I can't recall we winning any time when I was there. And somebody told me that there was sports day recently, and I think we came last again. I don't understand it. Like,
is Miss McLennan's house? What was that? Saunders. Yeah, Saunders. When I got there, Saunders was the house that would win everything, and it was largely because of Miss McLennan's.
Yes.
Chipping the scale, yeah. But I understand. Me say that all the while. Because the other day, they run off the mouth and I said, Sanders in the most. I'm say, listen, just show me some receipts now. Meadowbrook around for 65 years. I don't want to hear Sanders in the most. Show me the receipts, Jerry. We can't see the receipts. Like how you know, say Liverpool win Champions League or wait them there so much time. And
right. Well, I can tell you, just from my personal experiences, I cannot recall Ward House winning a sports day. I cannot recall that.
Yeah, me and you, brethren. I can't.
There you go. There you go.
No, but me knows a rat in a whole heap of time here, Mikey.
I know
Man,
Rodney,
yeah.
Rodney had good athletes. After a while, I don't know what happened, but Rodney had a lot of good athletes.
But that's
Well, let me tell you how that started, right?
If
They
Miss
met,
McLaren had anything to do with it.
they say again.
I'm sure Miss McLaren's influence had waned by that time, and a more
No,
equitable distribution of students.
she Wayne, nothing about that woman wins, okay? But listen now, that part, me house captain, right? Me and Berlin Samuels.
that's
So,
a bird sister. That's a one of the Samuels then.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the oldest of the Samuels that came to me.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Yeah. But Donald was there at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I remember
another
him. I
Samuel.
remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah, cadet guy.
Yeah, you have to start with artist first. He's an artist, and
Right.
Bert was in the cadet force, but we digress.
But not lost in this conversation. I know you mentioned it, and I meant to mention it quickly that you were one of the persons instrumental in starting the cadet corps at the school, which is
Yeah.
quite an important thing because that tradition went on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Will it produce one of the current brigadier general is a Meadowbrook student, a former Brigadier Raj, and Dante joined us.
Raj Mason. Yeah. Went to,
Yeah. Dante, welcome. You can unmute the mic and introduce yourself. Dante, don't if you're here, way. Continue, Mikey. When him come in, he mic the mute still. Yeah. Yeah, Mikey, that's about you and Merlin. Go ahead, Dante. Go ahead. Hold on, Mikey. Go ahead, Dante.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Dante.
Yeah, man. Sorry for being late.
And as I described, yeah, go ahead, Dante. Sorry.
Right. I'm experiencing a little problem. So on my home internet, I was trying to use my laptop, but I'm reverting to the phone until I resolve the issue.
Yeah, well, you're...
So I'm here.
Welcome.
Greetings, Sir T. This is G. Greetings, Sir T. Nice to hear your voice.
Okay, sir.
I'm Mikey Jarrett. I give you a whole heap of history of Dante, but me officially tell him who you is. Dante are the best night watchman in the business.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. Dante start joining upon them conversation, yeah. And anytime I call him for combat, him not give him wicked. Like, him come in as a night watchman, and him feel a bat. Anytime I call him combat, he might come. Anyway, anytime I call him, so don't worry, yeah.
That's a good man to have.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And especially connecting with those that preceded us, you know. We like to hear the stories, you know, very intriguing most of the times.
Yeah, man, we'll get an issue lesson, you know, because Mikey that talk about him and Merlin Samuel.
Yes.
That's a Bird Samuel's older sister. But go ahead, Mikey, sorry.
Yeah, so the first meeting as house captain we had with Mother P. That's what we call Miss Peter Kid, Mother P.
Mm-hmm.
So she sat with me and Merlin, and she said, "Okay, well, you guys are now house captain. What do you have planned?" That question kind of caught you off guard because we expect her to be telling us, right? Mother P said, "What do you have planned, right?" So we kind of sat there quietly. So she pushed the conversation. She said, "Well, there's the Alexander Shield and the sports day that we haven't been doing well in, well, the sports anyway, but that's two areas that need to start." So we started discussing in that first meeting in Mother P's office, how will Rotley do with these two school competitions, the study shield and sports? So we left that meeting, well, I left that meeting with a mindset as to, okay, so how do we do this? In my mind at that time, I said, we have to win sports day. No, we had not won sports day. Errol Henry would win 100 yards for us. but we never win sports day. So I come up with a strategy. It never took me long to come up with that strategy either. That is, if every member of Rockney run on sports day and cross the finish line, we win. If ever, just looking at the points you get, because you get 1 point to finish the race. Any race, you get 1 point to finish. And I said, but if everybody take part, everybody in the house take part, then we can win. So what me and Merlin do is go to every farm. We have the list of Rockneyites in each farm. And we went to each farm, call them out into the passage, and say, listen, the house needs for you to bring your sports, your thing, your
Years,
yeah, and take part. Don't think that you have to win, because most people don't take part in sports because them don't think they have a chance, right? And what I tell them, those students, was, you have a responsibility to contribute even 1 point to your house. And all you have to do is bring your sports gear and take part and finish. And that is how we win sports. But that put some pressure on me, right? Meaning, having done that, I now put myself in a position where I assume leadership in that particular area. Mm-hmm. As trained, I was not the best sportsman. My favorite sports persons in Meadowbrook were Lloyd Francis and Stedman Mason. Mm-hmm. Then it just came to Meadowbrook at the time. So I was a young youth with a foreign accent. You know that story.
Yeah.
But he had a running style and he had an attitude that was clearly in my sportsman. But Lloyd Francis was my sprinter, 100 yards at the time. So those are the sportsmen. What I was house captain, and I have to set an example. So we had a sportsmaster, Mr. Boger referred to him. That was a very weak and ineffective sportsmaster. I don't want to call his name now, but if you look at the certificates I gave you, he signed at the bottom, right?
Yeah, well, I'll get to that, man. Whenever I put that, yeah.
So he wasn't a coach. He didn't know track and field much. He didn't know much of anything. In fact, he looked like he wasn't even interested in the job, but he was in Jamaica in the tropics and he was happy. Mm-hmm. So I trained myself for all of the events. So I trained myself for 100, 200, but his yards were running that time. So 100 yards, 220 yards, 440 yards. So I trained for those 3 events. I ran the relay and did one jump, triple jump,
yeah.
So, but I trained myself, and what I did was just simply go down to the field 5 days a week. It was mostly not normally at night. I'm coming back from down there at 7, 8 o'clock at night with spikes over my shoulder, right? And sports there I run. Now, I won all my events. Why? Not because I was a good athlete. I was not a bad athlete, but I was not a great athlete. You know what did that? Determination and commitment. How did I get the other students to participate? Let them feel that they weren't there to win, they were there to support their house. So I changed the paradigm totally. So you don't feel bad if you don't come first. You feel good that you finish.
Yes.
So you win.
But that's it. Believe it or not, Mikey, that's trying to the way I point out that winning strategy for any school or a house to it.
Yeah.
To motivate the students. Not think about how much gold medal they're going to win. Just think about competing and finishing the race.
Change the paradigm.
Yeah.
So I remember there's a guy that's had a slight limp, right? He came out. That made my day. Him come out and then finish him. Actually walk and finish the race, but he was in second form. A new youth came. And I just tell him, you don't have to run, you have to just cross the white line and finish. That's all you have to do.
Jerry, it looked like if we did that school with Mikey, we could have run. We could have get a race to run.
I'm sorry. I didn't have that conversation years back. Maybe it would have worked for Wardhouse. At least we have come second, at least second or third.
But I hear God Shore tried it after the year after I left.
Yeah.
Because
That makes sensible strategy.
yeah, I think it was Paul Jennings, I think, who mentioned it. And when he said it, I'm saying, oh, but that was what I did the year before. So anyway, somebody else took up on it. But it's a winning strategy because when you go to school, nobody wants to lose. So if you're going out there and think you can't win, why you want to go out there? But if you figure that you can make a contribution by just going out there. And not only that, I use pressure too, I mean, like when I get pushed back, I push back some more, like I said, but this is I'm not accepting no from nobody.
Yeah. That is a winning strategy. I never look point away at all. Well, I'm not a track and field man, as I talk about a lot for my cause. I am me and an expert responsible. 2 rat nights as well. With the slowest 100-meter race ever run a Meadowbrook, right? It's still not done yet. We still run it Mikey after 40 years, right? So and he was a man, he was another JDF man and a cadet man too as well. As Jerry mentioned, cadet. So it's significant that we know the history. So are you and what that person you start to call the cadet? Call him name again for Mikey. Which was that?
Where?
You and who started the cadet corps of Meadowbrook?
Samuel Miller and James Vaz.
Oh, James Vaz, not you. Samuel Miller and James Vaz. Okay, yeah.
James Vaz, who I'm in touch with him, James Vaz was one of the firemen who were going into the building when they them bombed the World Trade Center, remember?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But by the way, Michael, your father was an RAF man, right?
No, he was Royal Engineers, British Army.
Royal Engineers, okay. I know you had some military because I had an uncle who was in that Rafa thing, and I know they were friends.
Yeah. British Army. In the service in North Africa.
Hold on, Mikey, before I forget, because I read over a letter today for prepare for this, and I shared with Jerry and Dante. The email said, and I can't make it pass it out. I mentioned them in an email. Miss Campbell and Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Campbell and Mrs. Smith. You talk about them in that email. Talk about those 2 ladies. Those are foundation. I came to Meadowbrook and saw them, and they were there for years.
Yeah.
Talk about their relationship with what you had with them in terms of
Okay. Mrs. Campbell was the bursar and Mrs. Smith was the school secretary.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have it.
No, man, you have it right.
Correct. Exactly that way, Michael.
Yeah. And so the headmaster office, or the principal's office, I should say, was on one end of that building. Mrs. Campbell in the middle and Mrs. Smith on the end. So the 3 of them were in the upper room, if you like, and that was the engine room for the school, right? So those are the women there. Not much else to say about them except that they were not just a part of the school society, but that they interacted with the students. In other words, Mrs. Smith, she was that gentle people, and the relationship between the headmaster staff, which they were, and the students was just as the relationship between teachers and students. We knew them, they didn't teach us, but we knew them, and they knew us, and they knew us by name, kind of thing. And so those are the 2 ladies. They were the engine room.
Mrs. Smith was like there forever. Her children went to Meadowbrook as well. Her 3 children came to Meadowbrook.
And Mrs. Campbell's children came to
Mrs. Campbell. Mrs. Campbell used to live behind me. Mrs. Campbell used to live on that next road, Whitney.
Whitney.
She lived on Whitney Drive.
Our children came to Meadowbrook. I never know that. Yeah.
Michael and Philip.
Yeah. And 2 girls.
I don't. Jelly, I noticed that friend there, Like I noticed that Mike know the girls.
Man, I'm telling you.
No, I know Philip and Michael who are the sons. Michael, they were my age. They were close to my age. But I never know the sisters. But here, Mike know.
Mike ever see it, man. Near man, no man, everything, Jerry. Yes.
He's the man.
Yeah. No, but to be honest with you, in a protective kind of way, you know.
Yes,
Because
yes, I understand. I
when I
just missed it
came
with you.
to Georges, that kind of attitude around women, I left that behind.
Right, yeah.
Hate women, you know. That's why I started out this discussion like that, right?
Yeah.
I
And it's a
love
good
women.
point. It's a good point because I think we take it for granted, like going to a co-ed school from day one, and
Yeah,
you're
because
like
when yeah,
like Maggie said, you respected women as your equals because there were bright women in there, right?
yeah,
Brighter than me,
yeah.
right?
It's a
So
good perspective
that
why you bring
alone,
Jerry, because we don't know it no other way. Mikey came from an environment where he know the difference.
Yeah.
We assume it, Mikey, and I say, we couldn't even conceive myself I go know that school but a co-ed school. That's the point, Mike.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Dante,
So,
you not gonna say something?
No. Just catch up.
Oh yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
so we talk about football, right?
Yeah. When was the first time I ever entered a football competition? Because believe, well, I remember saying this. Let me give context of this. When Devon Jeffrey took over the football team, him come on, and I think I 74 him take it over, Jerry, right? Him said Meadowbrook was known as the love school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody give it love.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when the first football competition we go play, I would say I have a picture of the team in a book on this, right? Yeah.
We didn't play Manning Cup. We didn't even have team to play Manning Cup. What we played was there was a second 11 competition.
It wasn't cold. They never got it cold.
No, we had Colts, but there was a second 11 competition. Colts have an age limit on it, but there was a 11 competition which the older students had. But it was not a big competition as such, but it was a 11 competition. There was a second 11 competition. Because I play second 11 for Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
Play on the right wing.
So you don't remember the first time Meadowbrook play a Manning Cup match then?
Huh?
You don't remember the first Manning Cup?
No.
Go ahead, Dante. You're not going to ask a question. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. That second 11 competition, was it second 11 to establish schools, or was it like, schools that were not yet established, like a Meadowbrook that were?
Good question.
Was it, for example, you're playing a GSC or a KSC Calabar second 11?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think I don't know which would have been the governing body for school football at the time, but it was clearly an attempt to allow students who never make the first team to play football. So, but it never have it didn't have the profile of Manning Cup or even the course competition.
Yeah.
But cricket. Mr. Bogle mentioned cricket. What he didn't mention was the contribution of Neville Bonito to cricket. Neville Bonito lived in Havendale, and his son David came to Meadowbrook, right? David played was an opening bass, as I recall, for Meadowbrook. Mr. Bogle played cricket, right?
Yeah, man, that was his favorite sport. I assume that was his favorite sport. Just the fact him name Dan. After Dan Bradman, yeah.
But not many people see him bat, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Bogle could bat, right? And bat to that straight. And bat straight.
Yeah.
I mentioned that, I think I mentioned that thing. But he bat straight, and he was a cricket lover. So not only did he build that concrete pitch, but I had the pleasure of seeing one of the West Indies cricket opener, Conrad Hunt, came to Meadowbrook to give us a demonstration.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That invite to me. What year that was, Mikey?
Oh, that would have been about 64 or 65.
So what range that?
Mr. Bogle, from his cricket.
Yeah, kind of them connection, yeah.
Yeah. So West Indies was playing in Jamaica at the time, right? West Indies, I don't know which touring side was, but the West Indies team was in Jamaica. And Mr. Bull get Conrad Hunt to come up and to give us a demonstration. And so who bowled to him? Peter Boxer. Our fast bowlers at the time was Peter Boxer, and I think it's Denver or Cornell, but I set a twins there who played. I don't remember who was the fast bowler. Well, they both bowled, but I think Denver was the faster of the two.
Yeah.
But Peter Boxer was the lead bowler, if you like. We had a spinner named Winston Suki. I think his brother or cousin was one of Jamaica's famous jockey at the time. But that was the bowling attack. But we had gears. Mr. Senior, the groundsman, would always be rolling the pitch. And we had the attitude as a school, the attitude of a cricket team, meaning there was this kind of camaraderie between the people. And when cricket play, well, the school watched cricket.
And the match you play top field, Mikey, or bottom field?
Top field.
That's before, but okay, I got you.
So house cricket, we had inter-school cricket, and we had intra-school cricket.
Yeah. So cricket, in a sense, we are saying cricket was far more, I don't want to say established. We recognized cricket was the first sport at Meadowbrook we recognized then. And then, you remember when the first Sunlight match played, Meadowbrook represent Sunlight then?
No, that came after me, shortly after me. I think Meadowbrook entered Sunlight would have been about 68 or 69.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but we never had a field. You see, that all thing was that we never had a field.
Yeah.
So that would have hindered the growth of the game. But the love of the game was planted very early.
Yeah.
As far as the cold side played well.
No, I never know Conrad was up on the field. I did not know that at all.
This was a visit one afternoon.
Yeah, there's no more one afternoon, Mikey.
No, that is
I
true.
remember when I used to, I think I coached at the play. Remember Dickie Fuller?
Yeah.
And I think George Headley, I think I did see them on there. I'd go to Melbourne or over Lucas to watch it. I don't remember what I did see them, but you're friends, you know the inspiration, just watching a great cricketer, even fine and farmer.
Yeah, that is so.
Yeah.
And Dickie Fuller came and he coached us for a little while, not very long.
Yeah.
I don't think we at level of a game, but
I remember him too.
Yeah. All right. So hold on, I don't want to leave out the girl and Mikey because Mr. Bobo talked about the netball court and the tennis court.
Yeah.
You already at the time when that was constructed?
Very, very much so. In fact, every break time and lunchtime, I stand up and watch the work happening, flattening that space that you talk about. The library.
Hold on, so you're one of the man who course the match up down the shade tree where Mr. Bobo talk about.
No boys would cuss about that. People who eat them lunch under the tree are the problem. Man, that was no big thing. You understand? What was more exciting is that you had this construction happening, right? We saw it level, the roller come in and steamroller flatten it, and then they put on the first level of stone or rock, and then they build on, and then they pave it. But the construction was happening, and we would be out there watching the work, lunchtime, break time, and some of them eating in patio or whatever, and watching the work happen. And we watch it all the way to the point where it was finished, then they allow it to settle, and then they come in and paint the lines on it. But the important thing about that particular situation was that on the completion of that space, the netball court and the tennis court, on the completion of it, Meadowbrook's sporting presence in secondary school changed dramatically. For the netball girls that carried. I'm telling you that when we had a match St. Andrew girls are in the body cup. Nobody leaves school. When you look around that space, all students, all that is kind of stretching it, but the students stayed back to watch our girls play netball. And I'm surprised that Pauline Hollingsworth never mentioned. She was one of the stars, but we had real stars, meaning we had girls who knew the game, played the game well, and made us as the school population feel good about the school. Because remember, Meadowbrook people, when you say you go Meadowbrook, people will say, what? Nobody knew about Meadowbrook. And certainly in secondary school sports, especially with the girls' schools, Meadowbrook was a team that you had to beat. We were a formidable team, and Mrs. Vogel was the first coach.
Yeah, he should talk about that. Right.
Yeah. But the girls made Meadowbrook proud because we didn't have a football team to be proud of. We never have a track team to be proud of. But our girls would make established girls' schools look small. St. Hugh's come and they look small. St. Andrew come. Look.
I used to love watching netball, Mike, but full disclosure, it wasn't necessarily for netball alone. I just like to the girl them. I jump up and down at them. I not gonna pretend like Mikey Jerry for Serati.
Yeah, Charlie, but
funny enough, to Mikey's point, that is true though. The idea when the matches did come around, even when I was teaching there for a couple of years, there was an excitement. There was an excitement in the school, and everybody was watching it, and everybody wanted. It was very competitive and very partisan. We wanted them to win, and they did well.
Yes.
Always done well. They've always done well. The netball.
Yeah, go ahead, Auntie. Sound like you want to say something. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it was twofold to back up G's point, ELG. But it was twofold. Yeah, man. We were there to watch the girls as well, but we did exceptionally well during that period. The 80s, we did very well in netball. I think we had two schools that always stop us. Arden and I think it was Mona. I'm trying to remember the other school, but no, not Mona. It was another school, but Arden was one of them. We had some. Merle Grove, right? We had some excellent players.
Good point Mike raised, because I think that by extension, the football team that won Walker Cup and did well, and the cricket team obviously winning. The netball teams have gotten very little credit over the years as ambassadors of sport for the school. And what Mike said is true. They probably opened the door.
Yes, right. They did. That's what I want to mention. That's exactly what I want to mention. They were the first sports team I Meadowbrook were compete against high school. The girls, netball team,
Yeah. And what they did was instill this sense of
pride,
worthiness in the school population.
Yeah.
It was really very powerful. I mean, like, I stand up one side and watch the netball match, right? And the people around, the standing around would be so engaged. I say, when you're watching something and people say you catch a fever.
Yeah.
So you see people watching, and when somebody going to shoot, you see.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah.
In other words, the people standing around were so engaged in the match, right?
Yeah.
When our girls play netball, man, the boys turn out. That was our team.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. There was no space around the field, Mikey. Around the tennis court and the netball.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And they were good. And they were good. They were good at
man,
it.
They were two excellent team, man. Always throughout the years.
Yeah, man.
Both the senior and the senior and the junior netball team. That was like Colts and the official team. So when really I said the foundation lay for sports in Meadowbrook through the netball team, that's what they're saying.
Yeah. The confidence the confidence to take part in sports came from the netball.
Yeah. That's a good point, Jarrett, Mikey. I'm glad I brought it up. But let me ask you something. And G's favorite sport is, because I know G's play tennis. Why would be that tennis court?
the fact of the matter is that the tennis was never played at Meadowbrook, and that court would have facilitated the introduction of a new sport into the school system.
Yeah, I always wonder why they never ever had a coach or anything there.
Yeah. I think perhaps because the school started to get more students in, and the financing from the Ministry of Education would have been declining, or not have been able to.
I'm fully told that my sister had a tennis racket, usually play tennis.
But I played a few times on that court.
Right,
I did, but not obviously not representing. Never had a team.
Well, no, was there any tennis competition throughout Meadowbrook, throughout schoolboy or schoolgirl at the time?
Well, there were school, yeah, there were lawn tennis competitions for sure.
Okay.
My friends at Woolmer's and Casey and George's. Mike would know George's had many tennis courts.
Yeah, George's had tennis court. Yeah. So but you couldn't play. The fact is that there was space for an additional court.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Given the surfacing that they were putting on the netball court, it's only tennis you could put there.
Our basketball wasn't popular at the time.
No, it was not, and it was not only that we did just. Jamaica never played much basketball.
No, basketball is an American thing, and that are just after independence. We're still British and British sport. We never playing a basketball in the 60s at all, Mike. That makes sense.
Plus the cost of the tennis is like you build a netball court and you get the tennis court for free.
No, that I can't. I understand the rationale behind it.
Yeah.
That's rational because that's the only thing that could have worked this at the time.
Absolutely.
You couldn't put a swimming pool. You couldn't put nothing else at all. No, it wouldn't fit that at all. You could not at all. No. And it worked. It created some tremendous netball team.
Yeah.
The history of netball begin right this up. And that, him said that was the proudest moment, put up that court there. And I agree with him because that laid the foundation for Meadowbrook.
And not just sports, but for the confidence that students have in the school. Because remember, you're going to a school that nobody never hear about it. And everybody can talk about them school, JC and KC. Well, Meadowbrook had with netball, and when people talk about netball, them talk about it with respect, right? And it's good to be part of a winning team. When you leave school, you finish classes, you come out and you watch a game. You have some confidence in the organization, the school. You go home feeling that you're not just simply attending some school. That there is some worth in you.
No, I agree with him. And important about that, Mikey, is that when Mr. Bogo said that to him, I realized that boy, this man had a vision. Just like what you're saying, you letter to him. It's like, because I've never come to Meadowbrook and say just academics alone. Recognize very early.
Absolutely.
It's a total development in one in terms of that. And sports, I said this over and over to parents who are listening now, think say sports is a pivotal role in a kid's life and people's life. Sports worldwide change discussion and change argument. So any child go to school, you want to encourage them to play any sport at all, they have gift.
Sport at all. Yeah.
Any sport at all, them have gift. It changed my life. That's what I said to you. Without sports, I don't think I dare talk about the things that we do for Meadowbrook and what we have done for Meadowbrook. So I understand. But a lot of parents just think that school and that's academics, Mikey. What Mr. Bogan did with that court was just saying no.
Yeah. Development of the whole child.
Yeah, man. Because I say more build more classroom and this and that. I say no. We can put up that. That's a part of the total development. Somebody respect that. I respect that and say that. But let me ask you a question, Mikey, because this is your favorite subject. Because you mentioned, I think, history was very important to you, right? And the fact that you and I love that same book, the CLR James.
Yeah.
Great pivotal book in the history of Caribbean cricket.
And Caribbean history.
Caribbean history, right? Not just cricket, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I had talked to a friend, I forget that story. And him there go Barbados, him done a Barbados at the time. And West Indies cricket team on tour. I wanted the cricketer them from the small island. I mean, I call him for embarrassing. The man passed and Sister Frank Worrell. Memorial of Barbados. And this is when West Indies team that is one of the great team. The greatest sports team ever. The man asked who is Sir Frank Worrell. The man played for West Indies cricket team in Jarrett. And the man don't know who Sir Frank Worrell is. I mean, I say he never read C.L.R. James. He never read.
Who was that? Who was that person?
The game at all.
No, but he play for West Indies.
No. Yeah.
That's Mikey. Yeah, go ahead, Jarrett. Go ahead, Dante. Sorry.
No, I can imagine say if it was a man who played for Meadowbrook and him said that he probably wouldn't play again if certain people here.
No, but that's
much less the West Indies.
It's sad, you know.
Yeah, but no, because if a man know history, Mikey, I understand the history. I understand the power our cricket did for the Caribbean region. He not understand when C.L.R. James campaigned to get Sir Frank Worrell as captain of the West Indies cricket team, the first black man who ever captain a cricket team throughout the region. I never played for West Indies. Trust me, man, it is. But how you get for love with you so much, Mikey? And who taught you Isha Meadowbrook that you gain for love with you so much?
Donald Bogle.
Oh, Mr. Bogle himself. Okay.
Yeah. Donald Bogle taught West Indian history. And it's not that, well, it's the headmaster, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm competition, listen, I had a natural interest in the subject before I got to Meadowbrook, right? Because when I was in prep school, the books that what I read at the time was like Robin Hood and books that are have a historical link, you know. So I loved history. I started school pretty late, you know, as a human being. I mean, like I was an asthmatic child, right? So I didn't start going to formal school until I was about 7.
Yeah.
Because being asthmatic, my mother wouldn't send me too far from home to school.
I know those mothers.
Yes. Because if anything, I have an
right, have to be close by, right?
And she don't have no car and all back in the day. So it was not until 7 that I started getting stronger that I went to school. But what happened between when I was 3, 4 year old and 7 is that I spent 90% of my awake time listening to the radio. That's all I had, the radio, right? Because I'm the oldest one, siblings smaller, them not ready for school yet. But I listened to the radio. I listened to every program on the radio at the time we had Radio Fusion. My father had a radio, but you couldn't touch his radio. So we listened to the Radio Fusion. I learned cricket on the radio. I learned cricket from the radio, meaning I knew all the positions on the field and all that. It's only when I got to my first cricket match, which was, well, it was India playing West Indies at Sabina Park, when I was at St. George's College, that I actually saw cricket in the real. I was at home, I listened to cricket, Roy Lawrence.
I remember him.
So I listened to cricket on the radio. I learned cricket on the radio, but I learned everything else on the radio. By the time I got to school at 7 years old, my English was almost impeccable. I could speak English. Why? Because I listened to radio all day and announcers speak English. Now, Pat when I talk on radio at the time. We're talking about your right? And so all of my radio programs all of my information came from radio. So I was listening to radio programs that were music based. I was listening to radio programs that were stories, like the Birthday Club. The government had a schools broadcasting program, right? I don't know if you guys know about it.
It's not school challenge at all, Mikey.
No.
No, before that. Yeah, I remember it. I remember it.
Radio,
I remember it vaguely.
So they had a music schools for radio. I forget what the name of the program was. But for example, there was a music one with Barry Davies, and you learn music, right? But it was a school. There was school programs. That's the name of it, you know. Program for schools.
Mhm.
It was presented by the Ministry of Education or something like that. So I learned things on the radio. I learned about I had names of cricketers, English cricketers. Roy Lawrence and them was talking about that. So music, everything I learned from the radio. But more than anything else, I learned English on the radio, and I get a sense of history from the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to discussion programs, and this was when I was 6, 7 year old. Because guess what? There was nobody else. There was nothing else to do. So I sat down there and listened. So by the time I got to primary school, I was reading fluently. I learned to read pretty quickly. Why? Because I knew I had English in my ears. I knew what proper English sounded like. So I learned that on the radio. By the time I get to school, I was already steeped in things like history. I knew the names of the cricketers on the West Indies team, the cricketers on the English team. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The names of large orchestras, the BBC transcription program. So I was listening to everything, fictional stories, news. I listened to everything on the radio. Why? Because I was alone at home largely, listening to the radio. So that helped me a great deal in terms of understanding the world I was living in. And therefore, information that came after that spoke to events that happened before I knew about those events. So my love of history came from just simply listening to current situation in the world and linking it back to what I knew before and what I was hearing then.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make sense to you, but I was listening to people speaking English all day, talking about subjects that I knew not about but understood as we went along.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm listening to
Mhm.
the news at 8, 7, 8. Which child is listening to news at 7, 8? You know, BBC had some great programs that they sent to the world in transcription. That some big discs like, that came to the radio station. You know, LP is a 12-inch disc.
Mm-hmm.
But he used to send out radio programs that came as discs, but largely
Mhm.
radio stations would play. So radio was what gave me a sense of history.
Mm-hmm. So you came in it was an easy transition for you then to just to flow into and
Yeah.
what you learn at minute, what you taught Western history or European history or both?
West Indian history we did that minute. That's
That's
why I
right.
what
That's
levels.
one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
too.
did history in sixth one. I did one.
But you know,
Well,
say
right.
before the 60s, I don't think we were taught West Indian history. Now, before we got independent, I don't think we were taught West Indian history. I think it was European history before. I don't know, but I spoke to somebody who and them never learned. I think it's when university, I think before independence, them started prepare us for West Indian history as a syllabus
Uh,
throughout the school then. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But when I was school, I was taught both European and West Indian history.
the, 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 there has that has to be the background, because the exams that we were taking at the time were exams set by the universities of Cambridge and London.
And London, yeah. Yeah, Cambridge and
Mhm.
London, exactly.
So the curriculum that we would have been working with would speak to that. But
Yeah.
there came in the West Indies, and this would have happened after 1955 when Jamaica got what's the word? We got we were able in 1955 self-government is the word I was looking for. In other words, we had a colonial relationship with England up to 1955. But at 1955, we were able to, and I don't think it's Jamaica alone, this would have happened across the Commonwealth. We would have negotiated the a relationship with the British Crown in which we could collect and pay and use our own taxes. So in the self-government, 1955 meant that we did not have to now report to England things like tax collection and that kind of thing. We could make our own laws.
Yeah.
That.
Right.
Let me ask you something, Mikey. So when Mr. Bogle left,
Yeah.
you were still at the school?
Yeah. He left the year I left, but he would have been there. I'm looking at the certificates that I sent you, and those certificates are signed by him.
I'm gonna bring them up here now, Mikey. I can't do that. They can't see it. And I don't know if Jarrett them can see. They can't see it. The certificate
No.
of Michael Jarrett. I don't know if we can. I'm probably turn on the camera.
No, I think part of the problem with this thing is I know there's a problem on Zoom. It's very hard to show documents.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why they don't.
When this recorded, so when it recorded, my show, it show Michael Jarrett for
Yeah,
first class,
read it out.
class 1, 400 meters, boy. 2nd of March 1967.
440 yards.
440 yards. And that looked like Mr. Tarp's signature, Jerry.
It looked like
Mr. Tarp's signature, right. That's a one certificate. This is a Meadowbrook High School sports certificate. And this was a 67, this Mikey, 2nd of March 67.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it not come out tonight, when me record, so I'm gonna bring up another one, There's more than one, Mikey. Like I say. But me I tell you some man the technology. All right, the next thing now watch.
You have to read it first because we can't see.
I'm gonna do that. Another certificate was this is a top signature. I know top signature. This was Michael Jarrett for first place, class 1, 220 yards, boy, 2nd of March. So what year left Meadowbrook, Mikey?
Same
68.
67.
67.
Yeah.
67. Okay, so top was there at the time. It looked like, because it looked like top signature. Right? I'm going to bring up our next one, Mikey. And this one is class 1, 2nd place, class 1, weight. And then, so well, that is Mikey.
Shot put.
Oh, shot put, I said them call it. Them just call it.
Why, Mike, you really led by example, boss. You really led by example there, boy. Nobody could question your credentials, boy.
No,
if you ask somebody to participate, them had no choice but to participate.
A sprinter and a shot putter.
Yeah.
You did any jumps?
Right?
In the triple jump, Jerry. Hold on, I can bring up another picture. This picture I think do have a capture, but this is show Mikey. Yo, I don't want to see this young Mikey with the trophy them when my wall. I met her from school gate, that's all. And
my house.
Yeah. And hopefully, Mikey, when I look back on the record, it come up. If not, I will make sure it in this, right? Because I say,
you can edit it and have the pictures in the video.
I will put it in when I look back on this.
Yeah, put them in, please.
Yeah, man. Next one now.
Yeah.
Mikey Jarrett.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dante.
Jelly, there's a button that says share.
Oh, you know what,
on the screen.
Dante, thank you. You had to take money outside
just like Zoom. Share your screen.
Share your screen. No, if you look at the top, that's what you're using. Is a laptop you're using?
No, man, my desktop. Oh, I see it, Dante.
The desktop.
Yeah.
If you click on that, it's going to share your
screen. I just click on it when we want to share, I suppose. I just click on
it. Select what you want to share. Click on the document that you want to share.
Let's see. When I see it?
No.
It's technical thing. I beat me, Dante. Me get to the share button.
Mm-hmm.
And
you click it?
Yeah, let me see. Let me
try. When you click it, you should say,
I
think we've seen it now.
I've seen it to the side.
I've seen it now. You've seen it now.
Yeah.
When I see
I just make it bigger.
That's a one. Let me try that. Is that bigger?
No, I can make it bigger myself.
Right.
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah, see it, Mikey?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Dante. So this I'm going to go over them box here, man. It's at the 440, 4 by 110 yards.
Really.
And Jerry, the point signature and the top signature that.
Look, that's how didn't write my appearance. I know you know his signature very well. No, it looked like it, but I can't swear. I don't remember now.
No,
I
I hear
don't
you.
I don't remember now, but it could be. It could be.
All right, let me go about.
I know I went to Meadowbrook in 1968 and Mr. Bogle was gone, but then I went September 1968. So
Understand that
I
picture
don't
of
know.
young Mikey?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah, man.
no. There's two trophy that, right?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what?
Mikey. Talk about them two
Yeah.
trophies now.
The big trophy,
Mhm.
that's the 100 yards, you know.
Yeah,
The smaller
Wow.
trophy, that's Victor Lodorum.
that's what?
Wow.
Victor Lodorum.
What that now? I don't know that. What that?
That's Latin for champion
Champion
athlete.
boy. Okay. So only did Latin at Meadowbrook at the time. Okay. I got
Yeah,
it.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Peter
Mm-hmm.
can teach Latin. No, but that is the name. That is the name for the sportsman who win the
Yeah, man.
whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I know the Latin
Mm.
phrase, Mikey. I am
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
two languages I know, English and Patois. Understand that one
Right.
already? Understand this one already? Class one. No, I never said this yet. 220
Mhm.
yards.
200, 220 yards.
Yeah, with the man have a receipt them, Jerry. We can't get Mikey here now.
No,
Hey, Jelly,
Yeah.
Jelly,
Mikey.
I think you might have to tailor a part of this thing here for a leadership seminar. Yeah, man.
Our next one now is
Motivational leadership.
4x110. I think we'll see that one already. Want to make sure it's everything. And this are
Right.
the
No, why I put this in is this. The discussion happened where it was with Errol Henry and Pauline, right?
Yeah.
Where discussion was about the Meadowbrook colors,
yeah.
right? And the discussion, somebody said it was called tartan. No, tartan is the design, right? Tartan is vertical and horizontal lines form squares.
Yes.
This was and then different families or organizations choose their tartan and use different colors. This was the tartan for the Black Watch Regiment, right?
This is Mike, expand on that. The first time I hear that term.
Yeah, this is the tartan for the Black Watch Regiment. The Black Watch Regiment was a Scottish regiment established in 1725 by George I, right? And they were given the task of marshalling, protecting the northern borders of
Scotland or the UK or Britain or England. Sorry.
No, Scotland.
Scotland. Okay, yeah.
So, I suspect that the headmaster, Mr. Mikey, I suspect he was a Scotsman.
Okay,
and elected the thing, but the colors is of the Black Watch Regiment, and their task was to guard the northern part of Scotland.
Okay.
So I just thought I'd put it there, you know.
All right, so Mikey, I've identified the people I know in that picture there. I don't know. I assume that a Mikey to the left on my screen.
It's a reasonable assumption.
and you know, Jarrett, Mike, you know, all of the girl them name and number and everything. So I'm gonna tell you who it is.
That is the oldest of the Samuel sisters.
Oh, that's Merlin Samuel. Okay.
Merlin Samuel.
Okay. And who that is? Miss Gashore?
Yeah, that's Miss Gashore.
Okay, I remember her. She was
the name. Yeah, she was at St. Andrew's Girls, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
I recently know that. I recently I know that. I talked about them she was at that. And this was what?
Yeah.
This was right now in the sports there.
This is a study shield, the Alexander study shield.
So Mike. So
Yeah.
Mike. So
Yeah.
so you delivered two. You delivered two. The two.
Yeah. The same two.
That Miss Peter can ask you to deliver. You delivered them both.
Both they were delivered.
Well, sir.
For sure.
The study,
I lift my hat to you.
But expand on that, Mikey. Where you call that? The study, that's the competition. How that go?
No,
Academics.
Like a
what
school challenge competition, like.
no. It was what happened in Meadowbrook is that I think it was C.D. Alexander, the real estate man who contributed that trophy. But it was the Alexander Shield.
I
And it
remember
was
that.
the
Remember that.
Alexander Study Shield. And what I think they did was to look at the performance of the students in the different houses and accredit points to who come first and second and whatever. And the house that had the most points won for academic work.
Yeah.
Won the,
All right.
so that is not me or Merlin's performance. In fact, we held it up to Rodney.
Yeah.
And so
It's a team performance, Mike.
Yeah.
Team performance.
But you must have been instrumental in achieving that, because before you became house captain, before you both became house captains, you were not performing very well in that area, according to Miss Peterkin, as well as sports day. So
I should ask them for
so
presence
you turned it around. That's
But-
my only comment is that they put you in the wrong house. Perhaps if you had been in the red house, who knows?
I work, Jerry. I don't know, Miss McLennan make him get where. I don't know. Oh, yeah,
This
me
is
never
real
had
Boy, I wanted to ask that question,
No,
Miss
that,
McLennan,
you know,
don't
Miss
usually
McLennan,
drop those catches.
No.
she had a system, right? She would get
It's
most, but she
important.
missed some, because if my memory serves me correctly, I believe Stedman was in ward,
You want
and
to?
Yes.
Stedman was the fastest guy.
Yeah,
I mean, really, really, really fast. I mean,
yeah, was fast.
and but one or two athletes couldn't win you the entire thing. Mike had the right approach. You really had to enter everything.
Yeah.
No, consider Stedman as the first track star. I mean, Errol won the first points, but Stedman, I think, I know Stedman won a track scholarship for Nebraska, and Stedman was like, I think.
Yeah, he was a very good
Yeah,
athlete.
man, and
He
he
was
was
a
part
very
of the
good
Olympic team,
athlete.
coaching team. I don't think he went to Munich, but he was part of that
Excellent,
team.
excellent
Yeah,
athlete.
man.
Excellent athlete.
Yeah, man. Close enough to the on the team, then, man. That are, because when we talk to him about film podcast, Jerry, they talk about that. So, yeah. All right, let me click on it. Let's say that one here, the 440 yards. That's it.
Yeah.
100 yards. The creme de la creme.
Yeah, the creme de la creme. And I tell you how I win 100. Because I keep saying I was not the best athlete in Meadowbrook. In fact, my best athlete in Meadowbrook, if you ask me, the best track and field I'm talking about, was Lloyd Francis. Lloyd Francis, to me, was a great sprinter. These certificates, when you look at it, just sheer determination, right? I had responsibility as the team captain, so I had to go. So I take part in everything that could move, everything. So I didn't do high jump because that's not me, right? But I did triple jump, and my strongest thing was the step. That the hop was one, but I had a long step, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just used strategy. First of all, I got fit. Me alone would be walking from Bottomfield when streetlight come on 5 nights a week, right? Because it's me alone training. Meadowbrook got had a coach after Marfit Smith. Got a coach. His name was Leroy Keane. I don't know if anybody know that name.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Keane. Big strapping guy. Yeah, I think he was Calabar, no?
Yeah, and then he got a track scholarship. Right? And it was Jamaica's he was hurdler, I think.
Right. I think he actually came back and coached the Manning Cup team for a couple of years,
Well, listen now. I had a problem with Mr. Leroy Keane, right? And he's not here to defend himself, so I won't get too much into the specifics. But he made me very upset with him. First of all, he would come to coach us, and I smell liquor on the man's breath.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a youth at that time, I'm a disciplined youth, right? I don't say I'm a good boy, but I'm a disciplined youth, and there are certain things I don't do. And when I smell liquor on the man's breath, when he come to tell me or train me for athletics, I never liked that. I work with him, right? But one day he said something about one of the girls, right? That I don't think a big man should say about a younger, right? He said something that made me feel sick about him. I don't want to repeat what he said, but after that, I avoided him. When him come to coach, I'm not there, right? But I would sometimes walk up the hill or do some other exercise. But I decided to train myself, right? I didn't want to be in his company. And that was the bottom line as far as that is concerned. Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's Stedman train himself as well. Can you talk about that and in the train?
yeah.
Stallion, I don't know if you know Dan Atmere. He was, I think, so.
Dan Atmere.
Stallion, I don't know if you know him, Mikey. Him, in my mind, him go to school, when Jerry know him, I think I the only medal man so far have won Carista gold medal for Jamaica.
Gold medal, right.
In 1983, I think. No other medal.
And he also was in Wardhouse. So how we never win this thing is I cannot understand. I think Michael have the right idea. We didn't participate enough.
You know, understand. Go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah. But then you don't expect people who are in a ward to perform well, do you? I mean, like
that is true. I tell you, after a while, the stigma was a lot to bear. I tell you that way, not easy.
What we also did in that year is Meadowbrook got its first award in the school's drama festival. Look at what you have there. Look, Jelly, if you see a news clipping there.
Hold on, like I say, I don't know if I can click on.
All right. Look,
that
picture there, the one with Miss Garshore.
Yeah. Okay, I can click on it. I can click on it, Mikey. Hold on, like I say, okay.
That the book she's handing to me was sent to Meadowbrook by the school's drama. I don't remember what the name of that organization was, but they ran the school's drama festival, right? It was an annual festival. Meadowbrook, Mr. Bogle made reference to the fact that we had a good drama teacher. Her name was Roma Deoyen Fitchett. Mrs. Fitchett.
Yeah, Mrs. Fitchett. Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. So she, if you look at that clipping there, you'll see that Meadowbrook won its first. I don't know if it has won a second, but Meadowbrook won drama festival the first time we participated.
Okay.
And two Meadowbrook actors won award, recognition anyway.
Who are those? Who are those? Talk about them.
Norman Holler and Michael Jarrett. It is in that clipping. It was the results of drama festival for that year is in a clipping I sent to you. If you see a newspaper clipping.
Okay, we have to post that, Mikey. I don't think I can post a PDF, but I want to have Jarrett and Dante about that picture. Yeah. This man.
Well, I see Miss Peter again.
Yeah, I see Miss Peter again.
Yeah.
But this young man at the picture, you know, if Mikey never there, if I identify who, I just said I look like a young Cassius Clay.
Yep.
That's you're going to hear.
Right, Dante?
Yeah.
The ear, the haircut.
Style, yeah.
Jarrett, man.
I have to get rid of the hair. Didn't you notice it?
Well, I'm going to see if I miss anything, Mikey.
Congrats again on that. Why, Michael, you really have had a very storied career at Meadowbrook, man. You achieved quite a bit, and all of it reflected in the school, benefiting from the efforts that you put in.
I'm going to put on the journey, man. Man coming with receipts.
Well, in his line of work, you know, this is a man that better have his sources and his facts.
Yeah.
Or you just in trouble.
I want to tell you, when we start them conversation here, before we start with it, man that come on and say, Meadowbrook win this and win that before. And the cricket team I talk about specifically, I say, we never win nothing until 1982. A man that say Meadowbrook win competition before, we say, when? Send me the receipt, because I have to defend my one, Mikey.
Yeah.
I have my receipts, and Jerry and Dante there, they know the receipts, but they need the receipts. But man, I come on, Jerry, and I talk to Meadowbrook win this and win that, and I say, no, man. Send me the receipts. Send me the receipts, man.
Well. I think that this is a really important podcast because it is demonstrating that a lot was going on in Meadowbrook in terms of recognition long before the
Yeah,
sports
yeah, man.
achievement.
Yeah, man.
Long before the sports
Mhm.
achievement.
Yeah,
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 man.
yeah.
And I think that it's important that people know that.
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah,
I'm
man.
learning something. Okay, even that drama thing, the first time you enter a
Yeah.
competition and you win,
Yeah.
that in itself is quite an
Mm-hmm.
achievement.
Yeah.
And for the
So,
record,
How many years did we play sunlight cricket before we won it?
well,
good question.
right, right. I
Good
want to
question.
ask Mikey that.
Yes.
Were you aware that Meadowbrook started when the competition at the 80s? Were you aware of that?
Only from the newspapers.
Okay, okay. You were in
Yeah.
Jamaica at the time or you had migrated?
No, man. I worked till old in Jamaica. You know. I just migrated the other day. You know.
Okay, all right. You're like a man like me, just come up there. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Listen.
how you felt when you realized you're at school where you left in the 60s, started winning. And not just winning, Mikey, win a whole heap of time. And win at the time, I can't stop saying this. When West Indies team was the most dominant sports team in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be frank with you. What I followed was not Meadowbrook's sporting achievements. You know, to be quite frank with you. Um, I, well, put it this way: I knew the Meadowbrook cricket team. Why? Because both of my sons play cricket, right? Well, two of my sons play cricket, right? Um, one opened the batting for Campion, and Jason, the youngest, opened the batting for Arden. Um, Andrew went on to, that's the second one. He went on to open the batting for Kingston Junior Cup team, right? So I was following Meadowbrook's cricketing exploits over the years. But what I was most interested in is Meadowbrook's academic performance, right? Um, I when when um, when Archibald McDonald and
Minerva.
no, actually no, I'm actually thinking about Paul Jennings. Um,
Yes. Bumpy.
yeah,
My
but
brother. Right.
when those people left school and Donna Samuel, because when he left
Mm-hmm.
Meadowbrook, his art took him um, um, to a toy manufacturer in the United States. He was designing toys. It's not Toys R Us, that's a store. Play School, I think is the name of
Mhm.
but what I followed was what Meadowbrook's academic performance had done to people who were leaving the school. So I was very interested in the fact that we were now winning scholarships. We were moving forward in the academic arena more than the sporting arena. I expect all Jamaican students and Caribbean people to do well in sports if they're talented. Yeah. So sports, yeah, is interesting, but to me, the academic achievement of the school was more important for me, and I followed that with great pride. I'm not an academic. I mean, like but
Gotcha.
yeah,
So you must have been proud
Uh,
then when we won the two Rhodes Scholars in the 80s.
yeah. Oh Lord, yeah. At that point in time, I thought, you see, because I don't know if you have their my letter from the Ministry of Education. I don't know if I sent it to you because I went to Michael, right? And I graduated as a teacher.
Yeah.
So
We never send me
so
that. What's send me that? I'm gonna post it, Mike. Yeah. Afterwards, you
yeah.
send it. Yeah.
So I was more interested in the academic performance at the school. I felt that the school had done as based on what education is supposed to do, and that is to create effective and um,
Grounded.
worthy students, right? Um, and it was about building society, and building a what you might call a functional society. So I was more interested in what was happening in terms of academic
Academic.
achievement. Yeah.
But that was the vision when Vivian Thomas come on, another cadet man and JDF man. And him talk about the vision of Henry Ward, right?
Mm.
And him say Henry Ward vision for Meadowbrook was to create I mean create individuals that can run. It's like create Meadowbrook was be I wait name an example, create individuals that will take over the independent Jamaica then in terms of say
Contribute
yeah,
to.
rounded individual. I forget the word when
Yeah.
but if me talk
Yeah.
about that Willie. Talk about that Willie. So that was the
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead.
okay. Yeah, so you are also Mike,
Mm.
aware that Meadowbrook was ranked as the top school for a number of years, starting in the late 80s. I think this was, I don't remember, but for a number of years in the late 80s,
Mhm.
yeah, we
came
were
out in the
ranked
paper.
as the
You're
top
where we were at,
top
Mikey. I forgot
school.
to tell you that.
Based on a study that was done, and it what it did was track the progress of the students after entering, and the students that what Meadowbrook produced after when the students left in terms of academic achievements coming in and leaving. And we were ranked, I think, for about almost 10 years. We were ranked as the best, as the top school
I did a podcast specifically about that to that girl.
in
She
the
was at school
country.
at the time, Mikey.
Yeah.
What happened was Meadowbrook was being accused of cheating. The grades.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something to
Mhm.
that effect. I don't think it was Meadowbrook alone. There was an investigation for all of the school that took CXC for the year.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And once they did the investigation, it turned out that Meadowbrook came out on top. I think they have to do a girl did a podcast about that in detail to talk about it. Folks, Dante, I forget her first name.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie Folks.
Melanie.
Melanie
Mm.
Folks. So she was at school at the time. And there a green article came out and the significant in terms of how them look on it, that Meadowbrook was ranked number one. How them did the ranking, Mikey, was in terms of improvement. Not to say are the best are this and them I say when a man come a Meadowbrook in a first farm, in level of improvement far outrank any other school in the island. It wasn't say them produce the best road scholar, the best A student. Overall, the level of improvement for all of the students at Meadowbrook outbeat any other school. I'm going to send you the article. and send you the podcast to Mikey. I remember to talk about it in detail. That looked like he wasn't aware right at that. I wasn't aware right either, Mikey. So it's not you alone.
Yeah. No, but what you say is in sync with what I was hearing about the school over time, you know.
Yeah.
So, and from what I was hearing from people who had already graduated and where they were in terms of their own careers, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I always felt that the story of Meadowbrook should be told from the perspective of academic achievement as against sporting achievement, right?
Yeah.
Because there are some people who just never made the hit parade, but who themselves were achievers, not just average achievers, but excellent, people of excellence. I mean, I'm thinking of Claudette Shields, for example. I named that Shields. I named that.
Okay.
Claudette Shields went on to do chemistry. I have not followed her career after she left school. But this is a Meadowbrook student who excelled in her area.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
when I look at what Michael Banbury was doing, he was a Meadowbrook student excelling in his area, right? And
Yeah.
I mentioned Archie and Bumpy already, but there are people who are in their area achieving, and it's
Many others, right?
Yeah, they spoke to a school that was doing a little bit more than what was happening to me at St. George's, right? That is, you do the homework, and there was not much interaction between the student and the teacher. The teacher come in, deliver, do them take them the period or double period or what, and they're gone, right? When I went to Meadowbrook, the teacher talked to you. I mean, Mr. Bogle walked with me to the classroom, as I mentioned in that letter, right? To me, it was a different thing. My teacher saw me as an individual. And that was the situation in Meadowbrook. The teachers knew the students. I mean, that is so important. And in fact, it is in looking at life from that perspective that we realize that the situation that we face in Jamaica today with respect to the violence and all of that sordid aspect of Jamaican life now that we wish didn't happen, but we have to talk about it, is a failure in the education system. If we were able, by some stroke of magic, to tomorrow get rid of all the gunmen and all the people who are killing people in Jamaica, if we were able to get rid of all of them in one fell swoop tomorrow morning, do you know that we would not have solved the crime problem in Jamaica? We would not have solved the crime problem in Jamaica.
Why?
Because we have new people. First of all, the reason that people are committing crime is because they don't have an outlet or a space for what they can do in another area. In other words, they turn to crime because there is nothing else to turn to. And I see that as a failure in the education system if you understand what education is supposed to do.
But let me ask you a question, Mike. Let me ask you a question. I bring
Yeah.
up a valid point, you know. I say at Meadowbrook was like, in a sense, I said, could the Meadowbrook, was it the fact that Meadowbrook was a smaller school, was it the fact it was a poet school, or was it the fact that it's location? Because when I got Meadowbrook, I the same thing experience where you talk. Right? There was no friction where I never know of Meadowbrook have no where you call a gang thing at the school. None of that at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
thinking about all them three things, I ask you, could the Meadowbrook experiment or can it be duplicated throughout the island? The size of the school, the fact is a co-ed school, and the location.
The problem we have, good question. The problem starts with the fact that we, as a country, we have not been able to retain those people who are genuine teachers in the system. We have actually managed to force them out by underpaying them, giving them the circumstances to work in that are not ideal for human beings to work in. Let's say it this way. Education is about preparing a country for the future. In other words, it provides the human resources for development. That's what education is about, right? You're not sending people to school just to read and write, but you're sending them to school or you're educating them to be functional citizens. That's what education is about.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if you have a society where there is dysfunction to the level that we're seeing it, it means that the education system has failed. It means that the individuals there have not been able to measure their self-worth, and therefore they can only apply what they know to circumstances that are, to say the very least, criminal. So
it's more than just the school system there at Mike. Is that what the infrastructure is there? But that's a different problem. But finish your point anyway. Sorry, finish your point.
Yeah. So but fundamentally that's the point. The point is that a functional education system provides the future generation, provides a functional generation going forward. The school system in Jamaica has been, let's say, hemorrhaging over time, with the teachers not being paid well. The people who teach us don't look at teaching as an opportunity to go forward. In my own particular case, for example, I spent 3 years becoming a teacher. At the end of it, I have a big certificate and a letter from the Ministry of Education that says I'm qualified as a teacher. 2 Meadowbrook people went to Mikey at the same time. Everton Jones and myself. Everton Jones graduated from Michael, same year as me. We were both on the same team at Michael, same football team. And Everton Jones became principal at Denhamtown Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know where Denhamtown Primary School is, right across the road from Tivoli.
Yeah, man, I know where that
Yeah.
is. I know where
Yeah.
yeah.
To hear gunshot firing while he's in classroom was nothing strange for them, right? Right across the road. He stayed in the teaching profession and stayed there for the rest of his life, actually. I went down to Cornwall College, taught maths there for a year. When I came back to Kingston, I could not get a job in teaching in Kingston unless I was going to be teaching at a lower level in primary school. Not that I couldn't take any job, but I would not be able to survive. In other words, just to finance my own development as a human, just to get out of my parents' house on the salary that teaching paid. But I had other skills, and JBC draw me in, and I became a journalist immediately. And as I was to find out, the perfect training for being a journalist is teacher training, right? Because that's the whole for psychology and all that kind of thing. And the thing, but the reality we face is that our education system is not forward-looking enough, right? And because teachers are dedicated, they're taking, they're not paid as well as they should. And what we should be doing as a newly independent country is to have the best teachers possible to deliver function.
Yeah. But it's bigger than an education problem now, Mike. It's an incentive problem, because you described it. You couldn't stay in the system because you couldn't pay you. You couldn't eat a food, as the mother said, upon the education salary at all. It's an incentive problem. It's bigger than an education problem. It's like, if you can't pay people properly, because we were lucky, I mean, I say we all the way around here, so now. We go to school in the 60s ourselves, the 70s, like Jarrett and the 80s like Dante and myself. We were lucky because we had quality education. The money never the value as if the value now, to a sense where the quality teacher not staying in it. Not staying in it, Mikey.
You can't stay in it else you can't educate your own children.
That's true.
Well,
I taught for a couple of years, and I had to leave also because
right, Jerry was a teacher
it's
at
very
Meadowbrook.
difficult.
Right. Yeah, go ahead,
Just
Dante.
for a couple of years, it's hard to survive.
It's hard to
Teachers
survive.
really are underpaid.
Yeah.
I know a teacher, right? Not my batch. The teacher following me, right? He had how he had to live. He had to take the money and get from teaching, go on a plane, go to Miami, buy 3 or 4 sewing machines, bring them down, sell them, and him get more money off of selling the sewing machine than the money him get.
on the teaching. I mean, we were fortunate, I think, to have benefited from, I mean, it may. I think we are the last in the 80s or probably early 90s. The last set of because of real good teachers that were genuinely interested in teaching. Because after that, I think a lot of the professional teachers started to move out of the profession.
Like teaching. No, right.
Yeah. And a lot of the people in there now are just there because I mean that's what they can that's what is left for them to do. Them can't get into anywhere else or something like that.
Well, let me say this, because I'm gonna jump off and say this in terms of how me I look forward in terms of the challenges where Mikey lay out there. And it go to the question, what would be elevator pitch for a student, a former student, to say you want them to give back to Meadowbrook? Because in my mind, for Meadowbrook survive a certain way with quality education with what we get, we have to have a foundation in terms of say, or a old, I don't know what I call it, but somebody will sustain to make sure we can pay quality teachers for one Meadowbrook. What is the elevator pitch? It's some in other, if we rely on ministry of education, Meadowbrook will go down the drain like most other schools. Me I say it depend on the owners and the old student them. But decide say, you know what? How we going to sustain the alma mater we love? And what will be the elevator pitch, Mikey? That's my question. To our old student. And you talk about several of them. What will be your elevator pitch?
That's a good question, right? I would say the self-respect that is required of a teacher, meaning that this person gets up every day and they have a sense of history, that what they're going to do today is to continue a process by which they are producing functional citizens for the development of the country. That it has to be, the ideals have to be lofty, right? So it's not a job. It's not a job. Teaching can't be seen as a job. It has to be seen as a calling for a greater good. So in that situation now, what you do is you appeal to that part of a human being that finds that the process of developing human beings is not just worthy but important for the continuation of life in any given space. No, that requires certain things to happen. Certain things have to be in place. So if that person is to get up, that person who is a teacher, who we want to be a teacher, is to get up every day and to give up themselves, because teaching requires you to give up yourself, right? If that person is to do that, it means that there are certain impediments and certain negative processes that has to be removed from that person's life in order for the person to think in the kind of historical terms that we want the person to think in, right? That is, my job is producing functional human beings. My job is not to do 6 hours teaching a day and then go home. My job is about teaching functional human beings. Our teachers at Meadowbrook were not working, hustling. They were producing functional
human beings. Yeah.
So they stayed back in the evenings, or like Mr. Chin, it comes Saturday morning, and their extra lessons were free of charge because they're not $1, they're producing functional human beings. And therefore, what we have experienced at Meadowbrook is a process by which those aspects of life that we need to go forward are given to us in a classroom situation. So the financial concerns that teachers have now, where they are governed for increase in salary, that's infra-dig for a teacher. No teacher to be standing on picket line and striking for money. These people are the factory for the next generation, producing the next generation. So therefore, the process should be, our government should seek the finest and the best persons in the community to do that honorable job of producing the generation. That person can't be concerned about supermarket bill. That person can't be concerned about rent going up and them don't have money to pay rent. That person can't be concerned about simple domestic matters when there is this great job to be done of producing the next generation. And until we see education as a process of producing the next generation, what we will have is teachers trying to just get a little salary. Why should our teachers be standing on a picket line? Then the good teachers will always find a better job, and those who take the job of teaching is because they can do better. You have a recipe for disaster in terms of nationalism at that point in time. So my thing is this, right? If I tomorrow had the sweeping powers as far as development is concerned, I would look at history and realize that the process of teaching in Jamaica reflects the inheritance of a system in which the government has in its inner core, meaning the cabinet, an individual called a minister of education. I remove that process. I would take that out. There is no way, and in Jamaica, we know the story. There's no way a minister of education should be sitting at a table with other ministers of security, of agriculture, other ministers, and be competing for resources for the education sector. That should never happen, because education is the production of the next generation. So I would abolish, if I had that power, sweeping power, I would abolish the Ministry of Education. That is a British idea, it's a British construct. What I would do is I would form a commission of education. And that commission of education would effectively operate like the Bank of Jamaica, like the central bank. That is, it is separated from the powers, the transient.
The politics side. The politics side.
Yeah, separate, right? It is financed. That commission would be financed by way of a direct transfer of resources, wealth, if you like, just as the central bank would operate. Its resources are measured as a percentage of gross domestic product. So we earmark, I don't know, pick a number, 5%. I haven't done the math, but I'm talking about the principle. A percentage of gross domestic product goes to education. The Education Commission is run by people who are properly trained, and we have those people. We have bright people, properly trained, but people who are capable of delivering the next generation of human beings. The commission, the Education Commission would build schools. They would set teacher salaries. They would develop curricula. They would do everything, but they would not be tainted or pressured by a political directorate.
Yeah.
The matter is that the perspective on education has to be no less than 25 years or 30 years, at least one generation. Meaning that its programs look at 25, 30 years down the road, right? The Minister of Education, the education, that education body, right? That would not be going to government for annual subventions.
Yeah, I follow what you said, Mikey. I understand exactly what you said.
So that commission would operate. My first major assignment as a journalist, after I left the classroom and I went to JBC to work, my first major assignment was to cover the DaCosta Commission of Inquiry. That was a commission of inquiry that was looking specifically at the performance of the previous government, and specifically to find out and to quantify and to find out where money went for 50 schools that were budgeted and paid for public purse that nobody could find.
I remember that scandal, Mikey. I remember that scandal.
Yeah. In fact, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Education was sent to jail. You with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I remember that scandal.
So when I sat through that, I had to write a story for TBC every night, and I sat through that thing, and I realized that the government should not be the one who is delivering education.
No, but me agree with that, Mike. But here my challenge to us as people from Meadowbrook, as Meadowbrook alone,
Yeah.
is we not going to solve the government problem. Voting, we're not going to solve the government problem at all. But me I say, we might can take on Meadowbrook problem, Meadowbrook challenge. But everything I will require resources. What
Exactly.
you follow me? I say, what would be a pitch? You have Meadowbrook alone for say. Why would I need to give back to Meadowbrook? Why that if you say you call Banbury name or you call Peter when name? Peter
Paul Jennings.
Paul Jennings, sorry. You call Paul Jennings name. If you see him now I'm this podcast after him come on. And you say, you know what? Let's say we want to create a fund for pay good teachers at Meadowbrook, Mikey. We want Meadowbrook where he has the government to do for Jamaica, but we want to do that for Meadowbrook. We want to create the funds to do it. What would you tell Paul Jennings, say? Are the people who you know from your era? Say this is what I want for Meadowbrook. Why would they want to do it? That's my challenge for you.
Well, this is the thing, you see. The reality is that for that discussion to begin, we have to know what the end game is.
Okay.
And the end game is producing functional citizens for the country.
No,
right?
no. We don't want to put it to country, Mikey. We want to focus on Meadowbrook. From Meadowbrook, we
Well,
want to focus.
That's the difficulty, because everything is interdependent. You know? And that is the problem. You can have projects, but projects, unless they are sustained over time by an organization or an entity that is going over time, then what you're looking at is a temporary fix.
Yeah, and that's not what me I say. That's not what me I say.
Yeah, I know. But you see, if we said, for example, if we said, okay, all teachers coming to Meadowbrook will earn no less than $1.5 million a year.
Oh, we're going to sustain that. That's what you're saying.
Point.
No, man, no, but that is why I say we have to have a sustainable. I don't want. We have to have something sustainable. I understand where you're Mike. It's not
Yeah,
that
it's a national problem that cannot be fixed by a domestic solution.
Well, I agree to disagree. I think we can fix we can attempt to fix the domestic one. I understand where I say it can separate, but we know the national problem. That's the hardest thing to fix. But we think we can attempt to fix the domestic one. I don't know what Jerry or Dante think about that, but
I hear what Michael is saying, and in a way I agree with him, because the truth is that we all know that for any school to survive in Jamaica, there has to be funding from outside the government. And schools like KC and other schools that have very vibrant past students associations, there is a lot of money that supplement these school programs, and pretty much picking up the slack that the government has left. And the truth is that, should we really be supporting this when the government's responsibility is to do so?
But that's the point. That's the point, Gerald. Because guess what? Let's say you had a perfect project for Meadowbrook, right? And we went out and we managed to marshal, I don't know, $1 million, right, to start a project, right? And you start producing students who they now have labs that they can work with. They now have the kind of programs that will allow them to effectively deal with, the different branches, science and technology and mathematics, and we can produce all those people, but you do not retain those people in the society.
Indefinitely. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if they can't get
No,
What
yeah,
you say?
and I see your point, Jelly. I see your point. The reality is that if the funds don't come from somewhere, the schools simply cannot manage or cannot compete at sports, or
Yeah,
they do
right,
have this.
right.
But I think that because we have been doing this, different schools been doing that over the years, it has gotten to the point where it's the norm. The government is quite happy to leave half of the
No,
responsibility of the schools to people who really shouldn't have that responsibility.
no,
And are we actually encouraging them
Yeah.
to
What
continue to do so?
oh, me look on that, but more you were Dante, I tell you, me look on exact way. I say, come here, I'm not saying, yeah, Mikey. But go ahead, Dante.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, it's a kind of twofold thing, you know. One, I understand Mike's point. It's very difficult to look at it in a like a myopic way, you know, in terms of Meadowbrook. You have to look at it from a
Macro.
national, because even in my when I'm if I'm doing anything for Meadowbrook, I look at it as national development still. But you have to start there. That is where I can impact this national development. So I can understand if there isn't that broad thinking where everybody, I mean, that if that isn't as somebody said a while ago, macro
Yeah.
type of thought
Approach.
approach, it's still not going to be
No,
beneficial
no.
for I mean, we may be able to do a little thing for a little time for Meadowbrook, but in the whole scheme of things, it's not going to be as effective as we want it to be.
Let me tell you my mind there.
So yeah.
Understand what I say. Understand what I say.
Mm.
And my view is ultimately it's almost me I think when I say can Meadowbrook have a fund like Harvard, an endowment fund like Harvard? Harvard rely upon the government to sustain them. I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
No, that's a private school,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
but hold on. That's why I bring it that
Yeah.
way. Ultimately, me thinks in at 20, 30 years when we're not here, it's only the private school I'm going to survive. That's my view. Whether we like it, yes or no. Because the government will just keep outsourcing them responsibility. Them doing it now. And this, them doing it now. And me I say,
So,
I understand me I say no. We
but
can't hold the government accountable, but we have to try to do that since independence and it no work.
but you see, you put your finger right on the pulse. The fact of the matter is that let's start out with some basics, right? Number one, the curriculum of the colonizer cannot be the curriculum of the liberator.
No, I agree with Mikey. We have to create one curriculum.
No, I just making some points. That's the first point, right? And what we did when we became independent is that what we started to do is to use the curriculum of the situation, the history that created the dependency we have on outside sources.
Yeah.
And the mother country.
Yeah.
The mother. But the curriculum of the liberator has to be different from the curriculum of those that did the colonizing. And why I say that is this: number one, the first things that should have happened after independence is that we should have looked at, weighed, and quantified the needs of a new society, a new independent society. And what we should have done, therefore, is to generate a curriculum. There are some subjects that were never part of the curriculum of the colonizer because it did not suit the colonizer's purpose. So the colonizer would not want anybody to be educated to the point where their knowledge undermine the colonial system.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be on. So therefore, subjects that would link effort and reward, for example, were not in the curriculum.
Yeah.
In other words, when we became independent, we should have some new subjects to make us independent people should have been devised and developed and implemented. And some of those subjects were not in the curriculum that we got from London and came.
They never trained for independence, Mikey. Never.
No. So that is point number one.
That was never the objective anyway.
Yeah. The second point is that the people who govern and administer education, their term of office is 5 years.
Yeah.
10 years if I'm lucky. So therefore, they have really no interest in delivering projects that are going to take 25 years before you see the result.
No. That's problem.
Yeah. So they shy away from doing long-term things, right?
Yeah.
Do things that they can go back to the electorate, Mark, it's 5 years them have, but guess what? In 48 months, them have to start telling
Yeah.
what it is that I'm going to be campaigning on. So the idea of making politicians who are transient people, them are temporary, right? To have politicians set the curriculum and the education program for a whole nation is not functioning for us because the politicians only want to do projects that they can hold up as successes to the electorate for the next election.
Yeah. What effectively we have to make a political problem, and politics can't solve political problem. Essentially, that's what I say. But I don't want to dwell on it too long because that's a question we'll probably have to talk about. But let me ask you a Meadowbrook question. Back to a Meadowbrook question. How much years you were at Meadowbrook? How long you were at Meadowbrook? How much years?
63 to 60, 67, well, 68.
4 years. All right.
Yeah.
When me and you talk, you talk about the lady will ride her horse come to school. And he says she ride bareback. A bareback on the right term, I wrote sudden. Let me not use let me not use the term that people are misconstrue.
No, nobody going to misconstrue on you unless you start make them feel so them should have misconstrued. Yeah, bareback. Yeah. Just behave yourself.
Who was that, Michael? Which teacher was that?
You are a teacher.
No, it was
Michael.
Look for it. Yeah, look for her name, Mike. You remember how?
Was it Cecile?
What's your name?
It was a student.
Yeah, man. Right, her ass from a school. Forget how.
Yes. No, I think it's the Henrys. I heard it on their thing.
But Mike, you say him know the student. But
we all know is who. What's it again? Our name is in front of me. Let's see.
No, the name will come back, Mikey. But talk to us about what you saw the lady, the young lady, right? Come to school, Panas.
Yeah.
As a matter of myth.
No, it's not a myth. It's not a myth. We're there. It's I'm trying to. I'm still. The name is not on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, it's one of them that shows. You call her tomboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was one of them, right? And she just bring it for sure, right? She just bring the house. But it was just after school, and we were still all there, and she came in with the. I'm just sorry, nobody that's here to her name.
So how far she arrived from, Mikey? Where she arrived from?
It was not very far.
Oh, like, nearby.
Yeah. It's a family thing,
Okay, okay.
Like, they had horses and.
Okay, I got you. All right, let me ask you another question while you think about. They are Meadowbrook for 4 years. What is the most embarrassing moment you can remember Meadowbrook? You can look back on with a smile.
Well, it never happened to me.
Jarrett, It was the Mikey that answered that way. Them not.
No, yeah, but that I was looking. I first heard the
Ah.
question. What's happened to me? But I said, but me never have no embarrassing
No.
moment.
Okay,
to think.
if you have the embarrassing moment. That would not
But-
happen.
But no, I can't think of any specific embarrassing moments that
For you.
yeah. And that which happened to other people, I prefer not to say.
No,
to
I
me.
know why I talk one about it. Me not really.
Yeah.
That's
But-
why I asked the question that way, Mikey. That's why I asked the question.
I can't think. I can't tell you what's the most upsetting moment for me at Meadowbrook
Yes,
personally.
apart from the coach I come and you smell the alcohol.
Yeah. No, and him said something bad about he made a sexual remark against one of the students
Yeah,
at
and
Meadowbrook.
something different than that.
It got me angry. It got me angry because no teacher is supposed to talk about a student like that. That made me
Understood.
disrespect him immediately. Leroy Keane it was. But Cecile Francis, she name, you know.
Who the rider?
Yeah, Cecile. Yeah, Cecile Rider has come down there. But there was at no time did Meadowbrook have a horse tied up and cracked. I can tell you that much.
It was nice.
The way it was said, is like she ride a horse come to school every day.
It's a transportation. It's a transportation. I answered
I
no.
don't
All
know.
right, I got you.
There was no horse down in Meadowbrook at no time, man.
Yeah. Say that about another upsetting moment apart from that one, or that was the only one.
Which one you talk about?
No, the one in Mr. Keane. That's the only upset. You say like.
Oh, yeah. No. My time over the over 200 meter 220 was competitive, right?
Yeah.
So he said to me, the same coach, Uncle Lee, you call him. He said, "Hey, Jarrett, your 220 time good enough. You can run a champs." I said, "Thank you." He said, "No, but I'm serious. You have to run a champs." So I'm telling him some bogle and all that. So we go to champs, right? When I got to champs, it's me alone from Meadowbrook there. Okay? There was no support. No support at all. Meaning, I got down there. He had different schools he was coaching at the time, right?
Coach, yeah.
Yeah, my world for school. So he must spend the time with him big school. I think he might technical. He must spend time with the big school. So me alone sit down there alone. Me now have no support and all that. Now nobody to talk to. There's nobody there. Strange. It's bus me take go around the stadium the morning. No, not true. My mother dropped me halfway and me take bus halfway, right? Because she was going to work. So I'm there. I have me book for 100 and 220 yards. When time come for run the 100, it's 3 people. There are 5 people on the list. The heats not about. 5 people on the list, 2 don't show. It's 3 people on the list now. Me and the 2 fastest man who run first and third. So I feel, and 100 is not my fastest run, right? So anyway, we run the 100, never do so well. I come third out of 3, but we finished the race, and I was in competition, right? But couldn't run fast like Alien them. But 200 me wait on. But 200 not coming. Remember, it's heats we are talking about.
Yeah.
200 meter now I run till after lunch. No, we don't have no lunch money. There was no support from Meadowbrook. Like we never have a champs team. And thirst start kill me. I get thirsty, right?
White
so that kind, yeah. So him come over to me. Him come and say, "Well, I'm young Jarrett," and kind of thing, and him walk off. Him don't have much to say. So when him come over the second time now, I say, "I thirsty, where I can get some water." Him say, him look around. He say, "Me not no water. Go up to the bathroom up there in the grandstand. You can get water up there." So when I go up there to the bathroom, right, is you know, public bathroom in Jamaica, the place wet and stink and all that. So when and there's a pipe a drip, but the basin dirty, and the dirty. Remember, you know, he's an uptown youth, you know. Understand this?
Yeah.
So when I go, I almost feel sick. Yeah, but by this time now, you know, it's like 11:30, 12. Remember, I have breakfast that morning at 7 o'clock. I do have no food in my stomach and all that. Hungry, headache start reach me and all that kind of thing. And then after now I start feel sick. Like the place not spinning, but it start like the place start I start get woozy.
Yeah.
So I start feeling someone going sick.
Yeah,
Get
pass
sick.
out, yeah.
So me just say, you know something, Meadowbrook not here for me. So me just leave. Just take bus and go home. Well, in report say when I'm calm if we run the 200 meter, I wasn't there and all that kind of thing. And so I'm vexed with me and all that. But that upset me a great deal. Because I went there to compete in the 200 and I never get a chance and it upset me. And Meadowbrook doesn't dare to support me.
No, I understand exactly what I said, Mikey. And those are the early days of the pioneers like you. No support for the athlete them at all. None.
Not even.
You live on your own. Now your parents, if your parents don't support you. So God bless only one lay the foundation. We actually go compete.
Indeed. Not like the luxury life that you guys had in the cricket days when we were providing 3 meals a day and all of that. Michael's story is very important for you guys to understand how good you had it.
And it's also important to know that support goes a long way in sporting success.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, what the school did to you, Michael, was really unforgivable. You know, if you have somebody going there and there is no support, no support. I mean, you have to find your own way, and you're competing for the school.
But at that time, the Jarrett named that take sports serious at the school.
But obviously not, because I mean, it was as if he was running for himself.
Not the school.
But we were paying Uncle Lee money though. Where the school had to pay him money for come coach.
Right.
Yeah, it was
well, you know, it's funny you raised that point, because I found when I was there, even and there's a correlation between good coaching and support, as Tegre just said, and results, and good results. Because I remember even when I was there, the people who would be there, the contractors who were hired to teach us sports and stuff, did very little.
Them just come.
They just come for the money.
Not a part of the staff, Jerry, right? The contract sports people, them. Yes.
They had no interest. They had no interest in the kids.
They do
in
have
the welfare of the kids.
Right. They do have no skin in the game at all, Mikey. And that was
no. It was, and I'm sure it impacted our results or lack thereof.
Yep.
So until that system change, Jerry, we never go get no success at that. The people have to be part of the staff of Meadowbrook. They can't outsource that at all. That's not a successful strategy at all. Not.
Right.
And the schools had no choice, because they weren't sometimes they didn't have people on the staff who had that ability or know-how,
Yeah, man.
Anyway, Mikey, Jerry. Sorry.
Jerry, man. That's why one of the things I always say, though, we had the success in the 80s, sport-wise, but the foundation was being laid long before for that success.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Because
for
example, Mike and them man, I mean, they must have learned from that, when Mike went and he didn't get any support. People would have seen that this is not the way for success. Then,
it's a good story for people here, Mikey. The foundation lay a particular way. For you go through that, Mikey, and I just say, and despite all of that, you never turn your back on Meadowbrook in a way or something. I could have said, you say they want to come on them conversation, but you love Meadowbrook so much, you still want to come talk about it after all them experiences.
Part of my life.
Just keeping the receipts alone is sufficient evidence. Yeah.
I believe it or not, Mikey. Right? Yeah. They have over 2.5 1. But I ask you a couple of questions.
I was just checking that.
Yeah. When Mikey called me, Mikey has to boil and some other program are too long, I see when they have 2.5 hours, And they come like, because this no
That's my pet peeve. So
Yeah,
they're
no.
too long. They're too long.
No, I'm gonna wind it down. Me and the winding down process. But when a
Yeah,
man come
but,
yeah, go ahead.
one, just one shot before I wind up this part. I need to mention her name, Faye Fawcett.
I don't know that name, the Mikey. Expand on that.
She was a Meadowbrook athlete, and she died during girls' champs. I don't know if she died at the stadium or it was something that happened.
You know, I heard about that, you know. Somebody mentioned that, you know. What's her name?
Yeah.
Spell her name for me, Mikey.
I'm going to guess at the spelling, but it's phonetically is Fay,
Yeah.
and would be Faucett.
Fawcett.
Please, Fawcett, yeah. I'm sure other people hearing this will probably
chime in and tell us, yeah.
Yeah. So, but so I don't know how she died, but what I know is that she was a promising Meadowbrook athlete and one of the first persons who could have brought us points.
Wow.
So.
And was she sick or what, Mikey? You don't know what it happened.
No, we just never heard her way that face. She passed out. Some medical thing, I don't know. I don't want to say more because I'm ignorant, right? I just know that there was this sadness in the school when we heard that she had died.
So it was like she was competing, or it was like something separate from the competition?
No, it had to do. I don't know, but it came about during champs, and she was an athlete.
Yeah, man, I understand what you're saying. I somewhat, I think I heard something like that already. I've heard a story like that. That story, that particular story I've heard before. Maybe somebody did mention it. Maybe it's Ellen or maybe it's Pauline, right? Because that does.
Yeah.
And then we heard this and then we call me and correct it and tell me.
So, yeah.
But let me ask you a couple questions, Mikey, because it's a work night for me.
Yeah.
Let me wind it. Let me ask you a couple questions before, and then I ask the last question. How it make you feel? I bring up back all the Meadowbrook memories after all these years. 60 odd years now. We started Meadowbrook in 63. And within 2023. How it make you feel? I bring up back all the memories there.
Basically, it throws me back to that time. So what it do is somehow erase the years between then and now. Because just in talking about it, I have to put myself back in that position. So I remember things like walking to school in the mornings. I remember things like the interaction between teachers and students. The kind of deference that was paid. I also remember, and it was Michael Wong who straightened me out on this particular point. The population of Meadowbrook School had a social divide, if you like.
Yeah.
And that's the word. You had uptown. Meadowbrook started with uptown people, and I'm using now uptown, downtown to speak to the social differences that existed in Kingston, right? Between income groups. So before common entrance, the people at Meadowbrook were uptown people who never know much about life and living south of Torrington Bridge.
Below Torrington Bridge, right.
So the behavior pattern at that time in the very early stage of Meadowbrook reflected an uptown lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which and what you do and don't do. So the discipline that Mr. Bogle brought to Meadowbrook was a discipline that most of the students who were going to Meadowbrook at that time, uptown students, that's a discipline they were getting at home, right?
Yeah.
There were certain things that uptown children just did not do. And I'm speaking broadly and generally here, right? I understand that people are different from one generation to the other, and from one household to the next. But generally speaking, the uptown people the children of uptown people had a different living circumstance than people downtown. So there was more spaces between the houses to begin with. There were different behavior codes. So, for example, one night I'm going home. I was like in fifth form at the time, and I got news that that some new human beings were living in an area near to where we were, Dunmere. That Dunmere had just opened up, Dunmere Avenue. So of course I went to pay some respects to these new human beings that had come in. If you get my meaning, right? So I'm heading home now. When I went visiting, I didn't get past the gate post because Daddy was sitting on the veranda. So I had to speak to my friend over the gate over our gate, right? So I left our house and I'm heading home, and I stopped in the bar at El Rancho downstairs to buy 3 number 7 cigarettes, because at that time I was pretending I'm an adult male. So I stopped to buy a cigarette. I walked into the bar, and there was my father with 2 of his friends, dressed in them lodge clothes, looking like this was the last stop before going home. But uptown children don't go into bars. They're not supposed to go in there, right? The parents tell you that. So when I walked in and I saw my father there, I wanted the earth to just open so that I could just drop down in a hole. But when I went to the door, me and him, I make 4, and I look around and there was nowhere to escape. I just wanted to die, right? And all I did was go in there to buy 3 criminal cigarettes. So I go in there, and my father just look at me, and I look at him, and I look at the lady, and I say, "Can I get a Coca-Cola, please?" And I buy a Coca-Cola. And my father has no food, right? So I buy a Coca-Cola and come out and I walk, and then we ask him to drive me home, right? But I'm sitting with him lodge friend then. Going into a bar was not accepted behavior uptown. Right? This was not the same situation downtown, right? And one of my friends, that Mr. Bogle, was suspended.
In a bar downtown. I hear
because and all he was doing was helping his mother in the bar.
Him working in the bar, the mother,
Yeah. The mother and epaulette and all that, and somebody tell Mr. Bogle, and Mr. Bogle come down heavy on the person, but Mr. Bogle was implementing uptown values onto downtown people. That was not so good at all, right? And I can understand. So there was this animosity that happened naturally, because Mr. Bogle was seen in that situation to be oppressive, because the guy was just helping his mother in the bar, but in uptown.
Yeah, he lived there. Yeah, just had a part of the course to help him family.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that in when I look back at those days, these are things that I see as a human being. But I thank Michael Wong for pointing it out to me, because people at our age, we don't see these class distinctions really when you're that young. It's not something.
No. That is true, Mikey.
It's your brethren or your friends. You know, you see these distinctions. So when I look back at Meadowbrook, these things sometimes float to the top, and I'm saying, wow, I remember as prefect and this young, I said, first form, I just come Meadowbrook, and I see these 2 girls sit down with a piece of paper. I'm coming back from upstairs. I go upstairs to see. So coming back down, I see these girls with these papers. 2 of them sit down, and them. So I walk over and look, and what I'm doing is race farm. So I'm checking out race horse. So this first farm, I know my youth. So I'm saying that to me is strange. But to uptown, these things are strange. But this is not normal. This is no big thing, right?
Ask the program, the program. Yeah.
And girls, 2 girls. You understand? So there was this mix in Meadowbrook that you didn't find in most other schools.
Yeah.
Well, if you found it, I guess it wouldn't be as distinct as Meadowbrook. But then we had expatriates and whole for white people.
Yeah,
Not
man.
whole. Yeah.
I agree with that, Mike. There was that clash of culture at Meadowbrook. I don't think no other school had it at that.
No, no.
Most of the schools had one culture there, and Meadowbrook had both. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
But the beauty about it, it blended properly, it blended in a
Yeah.
way where it never affected the student them until long afterwards you look on it and I say, God never matter to you, your friend,
Is your friend? Yeah.
No matter if you come from uptown or downtown, your friend, and the same way you
Yeah.
help on it, So yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, Mikey. I hear you. Anyway, maybe I have Terry and Dante if you have any question when we could have asked Mikey when we have before we close it out. Any question, Jerry, for Mikey before I close out? But ask Mikey the last question and close out.
I can't really think of anything. I think Mike gave us a lot of good information about himself and the school. I mean, one thing I was going to ask him, I had meant to ask him, I think he answered, was why did you end up in journalism? Well, I think he explained that. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Mike, but that was one question that I had intended to ask you.
Yeah. The interesting thing is this, right? I wrote my first short story when I was in fourth form at Meadowbrook, right? The father had brought a typewriter for my sister when she was doing practicing bookkeeping, right? And whatever, stenographer, whatever. So I got onto that typewriter and I typed a short story. And that short story, I was about 16 at the time. And when I went to Michael, they were soliciting stories for the yearbook. And I took that story and rewrote it. So I started to answer your question. I had a sense to be for being a writer when I was in Meadowbrook. What's interesting is that a year before that, right, Bennett College was used to offer overseas students. Anybody know that name, Bennett College or English College? They used to advertise in the Green.
No, I'm not familiar with them at all.
They had overseas courses. Anyway, I looked through it one day and saw journalism as a course. And I asked my father for the money to buy the journalism, to take the journalism course. And he gave me, it was £6, 6 shillings by a postal order. I sent it to England and I got the first lessons. So I started, so somehow there was something in my mind that made me see journalism as a place to go to. Don't ask me why. It's like a calling, right? Because it's a list of all these subjects A to Z and journalism. And he gave me the money and I started the course. I did 3 lessons only. And the reason why I stopped is because I get A for the first 2. And when the third course come, it was easy. And I'm saying, these people giving me A and I don't know about the subject, that must be robbing me. So I never continued with that course. But it's interesting that I started being exposed to journalism from when I was in high school. And then I wrote this story. Somehow afterwards, when I finished with Cornwall College, because I taught maths at Cornwall for a year to complete my internship. When I come back to Kingston, there was no work for me to get as a teacher, except I was going to be working in primary school. Now I was taught to work at secondary level. So I applied to JBC. The JBC advertised for a public relations officer. Don't ask me why I applied for that job. I don't know nothing about public relations. I ended up having one of the largest PR companies in Jamaica. You guys might know from
yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
Which company that Mikey, Jerry?
Mike Jarrett Communications.
Okay.
Yeah, man, you don't have to, no mystery. Very, very straight there.
Simple.
But Mike had a name, so I guess it made sense to use his name.
Yeah. It's a brand already, can be right.
Right. Yeah, I always believe though that professions like that, is really a calling. I've always felt
Yeah.
that. Because I couldn't even write a good story about my driving to work in the morning. Or I'm terrible at it. I think that some people just have a talent for telling stories, and
Yeah.
some people don't.
But when I applied to JBC, I applied as for public relations officer. I didn't expect to get the job, but at that point in time, I was not going to be working in no primary school because I just did not have the capacity. Not only that, that was not my calling, right? I was
Right.
not a.
Yeah.
So I just applied to JBC, and what's interesting, I never heard from them. Wasn't surprised, and then I get a letter from JBC from the deputy general manager Hector Bernard, who said, I saw your application for public relations officer. We have already filled that post, but based on your qualifications and what we have seen, I want to invite you to join the JBC news team.
Okay, that's how you started. I got you. I got you.
Yeah, so I
Nice.
went down.
Excellent.
Got you.
And
Mhm.
the next
Dante,
week,
any question to Mikey before I ask my last question?
All right. For me, I wanted to ask about the cadet thing, but when I came on, I realized you were talking about that, so I may have missed it. So I don't want to rehash anything that
No, ask the
that may have
question,
been
because maybe Mikey have a different.
discussed.
Ask the question, Dante.
yes,
No, so Mike, you're asking when the cadet thing started and all of that. Oh, who started it? You know,
yeah,
what it for? Yeah.
yeah. When I went to, okay, let's start off from here. My father is royal, ex-soldier, right? He served in the British Army. So back in Jamaica, when he was now working, he was an engineer. The Royal Engineers in work. So he's an engineer, right?
Yeah.
North African campaign. Come back to Jamaica. He was working at Caribbean Preserving Company. But he was also a member of the Jamaica Legion. And the Jamaica Legion, I don't know if you know what that is, the ex-soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Every Remembrance Day, he would take me. He would be in the parade at Remembrance Day parade at Upper Camp. So he would take me with him, and I would be in the bleachers in the thing watching, and I would watch the soldiers march, and I was into that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
love the band music, and I love the discipline and the unison, and you know what I mean, everything about that. So I was very attracted to military movement and that kind of business, and so I was very interested in military things. So when I went to start at St. George's College, the first thing I wanted to do when I saw them at a cadet corps was to join the cadet corps. Them wouldn't take me on the first farm. Them said first farm I can't be cadet. So when I went to second farm, I went and I joined the cadet corps. Interestingly, the Georges was interesting for me because Ronnie Thwaites and Trevor Monroe were on the debating team. Can you imagine that? Them guys farm, right? So I go and say I want to be in cadet. Them say, all right. So so I became a cadet at St. George's College. It was not the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force at the time. At that time, it was the Army and Air Cadet Force, right? So anyway, I became a cadet at St. George's, but I never see a George's for longer than a year after that, right? Come to Meadowbrook. Meadowbrook never had a cadet corps, but it never mattered to me because I now found that I was more interested in the human beings at the gender population in Meadowbrook than cadet. Anyway, the reality is that in discussing cadet one time with James Fass and Sam Miller in my class, we found out that the three of us were interested in being cadet. So we decided, I think Vaz checked out the Combined Cadet Corps headquarters at Upper Camp to find out, how we could become cadets and how we could start a cadet corps at Meadowbrook. And they told us that Mr. Chin was a captain in the cadet corps. You never knew that.
So Mr. Chin was at school at the time, Mikey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the three of us got to Mr. Chin now and sit down and talk with him to find out he's Captain Chin. So we said we want to start a cadet corps. So he started with three of us. So the three of us that And so therefore, I had to take army proficiency test, and we did all that. We had to go down to headquarters and do that. So we started. That's how we started Meadowbrook Cadet Force. Me, James Vaz, Samuel Miller. We went to.
Hey,
We went
that
to.
team, I'm glad you asked the question because this we can
Mhm.
go and send to all cadets of Meadowbrook for say where it started.
Mhm.
It's my,
Mhm. Yeah.
So the
Happy
first
to get this.
yeah.
the three of us then represented Meadowbrook at camp up at Newcastle, and the three of us went. There was a cadet jamboree, all island, more than all island, because they had cadets from Canada and cadets from St. Kitts and Jamaican cadets. But cadet camp in Montego Bay. Um, in fact, that was the first and only time I rode the train railway from Kingston to Montego.
Montego Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so that is how Meadowbrook Cadet started. So once we got proficiency test, now we could start recruiting, and
Okay.
people like Bert Samuels and people like that were among the first cadets in Meadowbrook. After we
Left.
excellent information, that Mikey. Excellent.
Good information. A quick follow-up question though. A lot of the people move from that way inclined went on to be army people. Why you weren't you ever interested in um uh, going
in
on to the army or
military.
military?
Yeah. I was very interested, but I just never did anything like that. In other words, once I left Meadowbrook, I went to work at the Gleaner Company, right?
Yeah.
That was the first job as a proofreader at the Gleaner. While there, I realized that I needed to do more subjects. So I started to go to pay my own fare and start to put myself through some evening classes at St. George's College. I do some maths at St. George's, and the Priory had evening school, so I did economics and maths there. So I got half of my O level and thing was done after school. But no, I started to fill in the gaps in my education that I never did at school because I waste too much time at high school.
Okay.
Good question,
Yeah.
Dante. I'm glad you asked the question. But let me ask Mikey a quick question before I ask the last question.
Yeah.
More with the record. This is all about to get information. You know who Pekka was? You know Pekka?
Know the name? Who?
Pekka was the man who used to sell on the three-wheel cart out of Meadowbrook Gate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know why he came to Meadowbrook? Did he come to Meadowbrook while you were there?
He was there. But but them move him. Somebody move him. I don't remember.
No, man, him coming out of school after a while. He became an institute
Yeah?
at school after a while, man. But I want to know, when I the first year him come there, I try to get when the first time him come outside of the school gate. You don't know?
No, but it was early. It was like it was outside the gate and then it was inside.
Yeah, man. So, when you start Meadowbrook, he wasn't there.
No, I don't remember.
But before you leave, he was there. That's what I try to get.
Yeah. But not outside the gate for long. He was inside.
No, man. No, him outside of the gate for a while, man. Because I go Meadowbrook, he was outside. And when it happened...
Yeah. No, Jelly, he came in and then went out and then came in back in.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's how it went. Yeah, that's my understanding.
No, me understand it. On the outside of the front gate all the while, and Jarrett can attest to this. That's before the wall bill. And after the wall bill now, it's like they might lock him out. And we had to revolt and decide, say, no, if Pekka now come in, if we can't go to Pekka outside, no food now.
No, but Pekka was inside when I was a student there.
Yeah.
He was inside when I was going to
school. Outside, Jarrett. So I don't know what did that.
No. I don't know of him leaving outside, going back outside once he was in. I don't think so.
No,
I know when I was in sixth form, definitely he was inside.
Yeah.
Or maybe before that. So you're talking about 70 something. He was inside.
He went back outside for a short period. That is
Oh,
my
Why
understanding of the
that did
thing.
happen, I
And
don't
then
know. I
I,
don't
But
know.
why would
and
that?
then he came back
Why
in.
would that?
That's a
How?
good
Why
I'm
would
question.
that happen?
That's a good.
I'm not sure
No, I
why
think
why
Nancy
it
right about
happened,
that, Jared. He probably went back, and
but
that's when
we
the friction started. Yeah.
yeah yeah.
And the way he
It's
come back
good
inside.
possible.
Yeah.
That must have happened after I left.
Yes, after
After
you
I
left,
left.
Jerry.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Could
must
be.
have you left.
Yeah.
But what I want to find out, Mikey, is when did Peckup
yeah,
first come a matter? That
yeah. I don't remember. And in fact, I never buy anything from him yet. No, seriously, it's not. No, it's not. No, I don't mean that in any kind of
no, I
derogatory.
understand,
Yeah,
Mikey. I understand. But we have
but I remember his being outside. There was a problem with
the community itself.
no with Spanish lady, monkey chaser.
Miss
Miss
McLennan.
Mrs.
McLaren.
McLennan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Had a problem with him being
I
out.
think the canteen people also had a problem
Yes, they
with
had
him
a problem. Yeah, yeah.
because he was taking away potential
Well, if
business
I business,
from
I think
Mm.
maybe that's the time go outside back,
Yeah, and
possible.
there was this crowd of students around him, and he used to sell snowball or something
Yeah,
like that,
man,
right?
Sky
And,
Juice.
Snowball
Yeah,
and
Sky
Mm.
Juice.
yeah,
and Sky Juice and
and there was something one time about the syrup and something, but the problem was more hygiene and stuff like that, and the community had
right.
a problem too because there would be a little crowd around him at the school gate there from time to time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That was the
it
case.
never looked good. The optics never looked good for me.
Outside of the school, I
Yeah,
can get that. I can see that. But he
yeah,
became an institution at the school. I was a member of the school after a while, and then him did up to 2015, a long time in bed, I see. Because it was
Mm.
with the sports team, Mikey, when we
yeah,
train that evening and done, and
yeah.
the only place where I get food.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
that is why he have a special affection for we who play sports. And that
And name we have mentioned tonight is Mr. Senior.
yeah,
Yeah.
his son has been on these podcasts. Bye bye, yeah, his son, yeah. Jokey. Yeah.
Duke.
Joke, yeah.
Duke Senior is a Shakespeare character.
Oh.
No,
Shakespeare.
serious. Yeah. Duke, him get the name Duke from Shakespeare, but him is Mr. Senior.
Okay.
It's a senior, yeah.
Yeah,
No, but him son come up on the podcast and we talk about him father. So yeah, bye bye. Christopher Senior. Both our age, so you probably wouldn't know him, Mikey.
No, I know him. He
You know,
was a
bye
youth.
bye, yeah. Can't live in heaven. Right.
Just one youth, you know.
I just one youth.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the only one you remember out there. And him family live there. Him and him wife
Yeah.
and the youth. Yeah.
Yeah, two more sons that were
Outside, big up bye bye, right. Bye bye,
right,
yeah. They never live at the house, that's out, Jerry. You're right.
they were back and forth. Sometimes they were there. As a matter of fact, out of the blue, one of them called me the other day.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Yeah, they were good. They were all good. Mr. Senior was, as you know, Michael, he was a no-nonsense man,
Yeah.
right? He wouldn't play around. If you were in the wrong place at the wrong time at Meadowbrook, he would have something to say about it.
Yeah, man. He was part
Yeah.
of the staff at
Yeah.
If take him job seriously, man. If was the caretaker for the school, he was caretaker for the students as well.
Yeah.
That's why I look for him job. I would appreciate that. Trust me. I just said Jerry, nah, make nothing past that.
No,
No.
sir.
But me ask you the last question, Mikey. I believe it or not, it's almost 3 hours there. And then
You can serialize the program.
no.
Yeah, but that's what you have to do, Jelly. The
No,
1 hour
Mike,
at a
I just
time.
do that, I know that is the only complaint I get from a start with, But I just when man start talk with a memory, man memory not a little bit here, so I make him talk. That's how I see it. We can't serialize it. And a man can't. But anyway, last question, Mikey, before I ask all out of your closing remark.
Yeah.
What made Meadowbrook magical? In your mind, what made Meadowbrook magical?
The fact that the teachers behaved like teachers and developed a relationship with the students that made the students comfortable with learning. That makes sense?
Yeah, man, that makes 40%.
Very much so.
Every single teacher, the teachers were approachable. They were soft spoken generally. There was this mood in the school that created that fostered learning, right? There was in the school there was this sense of order. There's this. Remember, I'm coming from a different. I was coming from a different school situation, so everything was magic for me. But to answer your question directly, the relationship between staff and students, the mood of the school, as set by principal and the speakerkin and the staff generally, and there's this what you might call camaraderie between students. I mean, like high school students are like to be unkind to each other anyway, but through netball and the fact that it was a small school, you get the sense of community within a community.
Yeah, man. That's why I see this is like a familial school, Mike. It's like a village. Better because like a village for me.
Yeah, that's a school.
It's like a real village where it was that there was no animosity at all. Where and you say you're right, kids are unkind to other kids, but and I mean I would say man might say you're jelly, but that happened to me. But the majority of cases, I mean, know off. I can't speak for myself. That never happened at all. That never happened at all. Remember them it good.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a closing remark and then we close out the program. And Jerry, any closing remark before I close out this?
No, more than Mike, it's been a pleasure. Always somebody I looked up to and respected, and you and your family, and consider your Meadowbrook brother as well as a community brother. So
absolutely,
very happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely.
And Jelly and DT, thanks for all that you do. You are preserving the history and recording the history. So enough appreciation for that as well.
Yeah, man. Dante, any closing remark before I go to Mike and it close up?
Yeah, man. As G said, it's always a pleasure. I mean, Mike, I've heard a lot about Mike. You probably don't know, even through Marcia Cohen, who I became, I've become a very good friend of, and so I've heard a lot about you. So your reputation precedes you. So it's a pleasure. Of course, it's always a pleasure. Link up with G. G actually was a teacher with me. I teacher while I was at school and taught me
great Tegre, man. The great Tegre. Good guy.
Taught me quite a few lessons actually in the hard way. So it's always a pleasure. Jelly, it's always good. We love the work that you're doing. We like you keeping the memories going. But Mike, good to hear your stories. Learned a lot today. I can tell you that. I'm very happy to be a part of this one.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah. And you, Mikey, before I close it out, any closing remark from you?
Yes. I need to congratulate you personally for doing this. And I don't say that idly. The reality is that history is made every moment. History is not stories from the past. History is the interaction of human beings with their environment at any given time. So immediately something happens, it immediately becomes history. It might be ancient history, it might be current history, but it's history. And in this regard, I want to congratulate you personally for sustaining a process by which Meadowbrook recollects its history. The challenge you have now, my friend, is to put that in some kind of permanent form that have that history serve the future. Because history is our rear view mirror of the life we're living, right? And unless people are able to capture what has happened so that it can generate energy and set examples and create spaces for future generations, until that information is captured and put in some form where it is accessible, we will be marking time rather than progressing through. So I need to congratulate you, but I also want to encourage you, my friend, to keep this going, but more than anything else, to find some format in which what is discussed here empowers the next generation. We're talking about here putting these podcasts in such a way that they inform future decision making, future generations, that it encourages the future endeavors of young people, some of whom are not even born as yet as we speak.
Yeah, man. Thank you,
Good
Mikey.
stuff.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Second that one.
Gentlemen,
Yeah, man.
Gerald Belnavis.
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Prince.
Yeah, man. Donovan, Dante, Tegre. Aradmi said the best night watchman in the business. Right?
Yes, sir.
Mikey Jarrett.
Hey, Tegre, tell him I need to promote you to at least number 6 now, man.
Yeah, because
At least number 6.
I used to open our school and
Right?
I take up the night watch, man.
I'm a night watchman.
Yeah, man.
Nah, give him a
All right, sir.
But you know,
Yeah,
Gerald, tonight is the first time I know you taught at Meadowbrook. Never knew that before.
Oh, Jerry, okay.
Really? Yes. Right after, I give you a joke. Right after university, I don't know what I want to do, and I say, well, Millbrook is right there. I go to Mr. Top, and Mr. Top, they always want teachers. So Mr. Top in his office, and he give me a little interview, and I come in straight from university. You know, them times just faculty of economics, people don't wear socks and all them things, man.
Yeah.
And I late and I rushed to the school. So after I Mr. Top, give me the job and everything. He said, one thing, Mr. Belnavis, you have to wear socks to school.
I'll tell you something, okay? When Mr. Top came to school, right? Many of us were quite concerned, because we said now Mr. Bogo was such a disciplinarian that when Mr. Top came, he seemed so calm and cool that we were afraid.
Right.
Yeah, we said, boy, Meadowbrook match up make the man 2 grounds.
That was not the case at all. Mike, no.
No, he was a serious guy, quiet but firm.
But he was this kind of soft spoken. But Mr. Bogo was quite a disciplinarian.
Yeah, Mr. Top.
Yeah, but
you underestimate Mr. Top at the pearl. You look on the calmness of Mr. Top and say, when him drop people and say, Mr. Prince, see me in my office.
Right, trouble.
What we haven't touched on, and perhaps what Middlebrook, when I went to Middlebrook, corporal punishment was still administered in secondary school.
Yeah. It was still there when I was there too, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if you put it out now, I don't know if that's that one, but yeah. I got killed in a school, so yeah.
I never got killed in a school, and I refuse. Well, that's one of the things that kept me in line in Middlebrook, right? Because guess what? They'll never have Kane in at St. George's, but I see Kane hang up in Mr. Bogle's office when I went. and I look, I said, but this is a Kane, right?
Several Kane, not one Mikey,
yeah.
Several.
Yeah.
Well, about several Kane, depends on who have a Kane and who, and they test them out, so yeah. Anyway, gentlemen.
There's no way that Kane me in school, that is the thing. Listen now, thank you very much, guys.
This is a blast.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
it was good. Enjoyed it.
God bless the whole away. God bless that great school at 2 Meadowbrook Avenue, where we can have them conversation after. In a Mikey case, 60 years.
Yeah, you can imagine.
60 odd years, 50, 60 odd years. Mikey started Meadowbrook before me even. Well, when I didn't walk, I'm born 62, Mikey. We don't even walk. This has been a blast years. I just say we learn a whole heap. So God bless all of us. God bless that great school at 2 Meadowbrook Avenue. Peace out and have a good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, take care of yourself. We'll talk.
Bless.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, right.
Thanks for listening to Meadowbrook Memories. And remember to give us all the encouragement you can on whatever social media platform you are listening. And special thanks to my production manager, Cameron Wright, who takes care of everything involved in getting the podcast out every week. And without him, this podcast would not be possible. It is his expertise that allows me to do what I love doing every week, having great conversation about Meadowbrook Memories. And he's responsible for everything else. So again, thanks to my production manager, Cameron.